There you go. Okay, we're ready to go.
I was talking to myself. I'm sorry. The time is 7:01. This is Lydia Grant, the president of the Sunland Tonga Neighborhood Council. Welcome to our meeting tonight on November 9th, 2022. And Cindy, did you want to go ahead and do item A? Volunteer Recognition Veterans Day.
Yes. This is an announcement that the American Legion will be holding an event on Veterans Day at noon. You can see that on the STNC website. There's a flyer there with the information and details with the address. And anyone who's a veteran in our on our neighborhood council or in the audience, if you'd like to raise your hand, we want to acknowledge you for your service to our country, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheryl, did you want to speak to the cemetery event?
Cheryl, you are muted. Not sure.
Cheryl?
Cheryl, can you hear me?
Okay, well, I'll ask her later. Nina, your hand is raised on this item. Go ahead.
Yeah, I also want to mention that the Veterans Day Parade is Friday, this coming Friday, and it starts at 11:11 at the corner of Brand and Laurel Canyon and ends at Paxton. So if anyone wants to go to that, they're free to go to that, but they can't, unless they registered, they can't be in the parade as a veteran.
Okay, thank you. Cheryl looks like she dropped off. Maybe she's having reception problems. Okay, I'll go back to her in a few minutes. The in-person / hybrid meetings, we have an update on that. The neighborhood councils, they're still working on trying to get us into hybrid meetings. It is likely our board meetings will go back to in-person as of March of 2023, but there are a bunch of changes that are going to have to be made before we would be able to go back to in-person meetings, and I will give you a couple of those issues. One is we have not been yet given access to North Valley City Hall or any of the city facilities for that, for having our meetings. And the department is saying that even if we hold a meeting like at a rec center or some other facility, it's still considered a city meeting. And so we would not be able to hold it unless people would show proof of vaccination to be able to. Lenny, put yourself on mute. That everyone that attends the meeting, the board members and the public would have to be able to prove vaccination for COVID. And so there's a lot of pushback on that. The department is saying that likely the hybrid meetings could even be a year away. They are going to be doing a group of neighborhood councils as a pilot program. We were put on the list as a backup to the pilot program. So if one of the neighborhood councils in this area in the North Valley decides they don't want to be part of the pilot program, then we will be offered the opportunity. One of the things that's kind of interesting about that is they had already made a list of the neighborhood councils that they felt would be a good example of neighborhood councils they would want in the pilot program. But even though the bonk approved the list of neighborhood councils, the department had never invited any of the neighborhood councils to see if they wanted to participate. So now the commission is saying that they're going to reach out to neighborhood councils to ask if they'd like to participate. And so we could end up moving up the list and being part of the pilot program if somebody else backs out. So I just wanted to give you that heads up.
Discriminatory.
Well, yeah. And the other thing is, and one of the things that the commission keeps saying is that neighborhood councils want to go back to in-person meeting. The ex-president of the Mont Commission was called on that and said, which neighborhood councils voted to go back to in-person meetings. And of course, there was no list of people or any votes taken. So they're just, again, assuming what we want to do. And frankly, I don't know where this is going to lead us, because I know there's a bunch of our board members who are completely against the idea that the community and board members must be vaccinated for COVID before they could attend a neighborhood council meeting. It seems like a real big violation of free speech and Brown Act issues, but we'll see what the department works out for us. Next item is community impact statement portal update. So another great system that we were using, for those of you who did not know, neighborhood councils have a set of metrics. And one of those metrics is that we weigh in on city issues. The way that neighborhood councils do that is through the Community Impact Statement, or CIS program. What we do, as you know, is we put the council file on our agenda. We discuss what position we want to take on it. We vote on a position, and then we send it in through the portal, the system that then sends it to the commission or to the group that is hearing the CISs, the city council, or whoever that is, the city council committee, so that our neighborhood council weighs in. Well, the department was not keeping up the system, and they found out that the majority of the CISs that were being filed were going into an empty hole in the computer system. And so many of the CISs that we as a neighborhood council submitted just basically disappeared. So we had a lot of problems with people going to meetings to speak on the items, to be told, you guys didn't submit a CIS, so you don't get to speak. When people had submitted CISs. So instead of the department addressing the problem and giving us the emails of the people that we should be emailing directly so that it didn't fall into the black hole, they chose not to, and then used the excuse that they had requested to upgrade the CIS system in the last budget, and instead let the CISs continue to fall into the black hole. So it's been very frustrating, and they basically have most of the system fixed now, which literally meant they had to go to the departments and the committees and the commissions, and they had to ask them for what email would you like them to send it to. That's how they fixed each one. It was a very simple fix, but the department is still trying to get funding to do some other type of system. Moving on to the next item, coffee and tea with the STNC. Do we have a date for that?
I'm sorry.
This is Cheryl.
Is that the light pole banners? Is next?
That's okay. We'll go back to it. Coffee and tea with the STNC. Cheryl?
Sorry about earlier. We didn't meet this last month, so IHOP never got back to me, even though I went in person. So no, there's no update. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And then since we have you now, would you want to give an update on the veterans event at the cemetery?
Sure. Yeah. So this is our third time doing it with a huge group of people. So we have 400 flags, maybe 500. We're going to put on soldiers' graves, but we're also going to honor living veterans as well. So it's Friday, Veterans Day, November 11th, 10 a.m. We should end around noon at Glen Haven Cemetery in Sylmar, which is like on top of Cagle Canyon. And there's going to be tons of kids there, all ages welcome. And we're going to have handmade thank you cards to veterans. So anybody who's a veteran in attendance, we are going to honor you. We have patriotic songs, Star Spangled Banner, Pledge of Allegiance, Call to Colors, all of that stuff. So I hope you can make it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Carol or Cindy, may I ask that you make the LAPD captain a panelist, please? And then also, let's go back to the status of the light pole banners. Go ahead, Cindy.
Yes. We met with Mary McAdam and our new representative from CD7. this past week with regards to our light pole banner. His name is Ricardo Flores. Anyway, there's a question by CD7 as to, you know, what if other people want to use banners, or even the councilwoman herself place banners throughout the community? So I did check, and there are 99 locations available in the community. Our banners take up 20 now, and we wish to go to 30. And so hopefully we can work this through with CD7 and continue to have our banners up through next year. That would be at least through next fiscal year, ideally. And then we can get these banners repaired that are broken, that we need to get repaired and replaced, and then make sure the distribution throughout the community kind of evenly spaced so that they're not all in one you know, specific place. So that's kind of been going on for the past 6 months. We would have liked to have seen this done much sooner than now, but you know, there's some how should I say, red tape to go through, and so that's what we're going through, and we hope to get it resolved. And that's all I can give you for the moment. So thanks.
Thank you. Board retreat, January 2023. We have, there's a lot of new board members, and a lot of board members who now they've gotten involved and have an idea of how things work. We thought it might be a good idea to put on another retreat in January to help educate people. And for those of you who've been on the board now, want to move up to the next levels of information and how to do things, we are talking about doing a board retreat in January. We will figure out a date, see if that works for you guys. And then if there's anything you are interested in learning or would like us to go deeper into to train you on, please send me an email and I'm happy to add that in. Also, Cindy, can you make me a or Carol or Cindy, can you make me a co-host, please?
Yes.
We have a lot of officers. We'll probably be moving over. Carol, if you want to go ahead and do roll call.
Sure. Okay, if people could just go ahead and unmute themselves, please. All right, Lydia Grant,
Here.
Lala Rowe,
Here.
Donna Scanlon,
Here.
Ed Babakanian,
Here.
Carol Hutchinson is here, Lenny Freeman.
Yeah.
KT Travers. Does anybody see KT? Okay. Trevor Schmidt,
Here.
Claire Gordon,
Here.
John Van Gunten,
Here.
Karen Moran,
Here.
Belinda Woodruff. Okay, I'll check on her. Cheryl Smith,
Here.
Mike Godlia,
Here.
Shirley Kim. Shirley Kim. Okay, Chris Rowe,
Here.
Nina Royal,
Here.
Cindy Cleghorn,
Present.
Sherry McCoy. Sherry McCoy. Okay,
She is here, but and her microphone is unmuted.
Can you guys hear me?
There we go.
is that you, Sherry?
Yeah, present.
Okay, thank you. And Mark Siegel.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. Looks like we have 17 members present. I'll call again. KT Travers, Belinda Woodruff, Shirley Kim. Okay, apparently they are absent.
And I did check for them in the attendees and I do not see them.
Okay, thank you. And all right. I think Shanna is up to date on all her trainings. Good, congratulations. And John Van Gunten, I don't know about yours. Did you finish your trainings? I saw the code of conduct.
My training is not up to date.
Okay, you did sign the code of conduct, correct?
Yes, but that was a while back.
Well, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
by a while back, I mean, a couple of months, 3 months.
Yeah, so that's done. You can vote on non-funding items.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Madam.
Okay, thank you. We have an opening on our board for a stakeholder group representative. There's one position open. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance and then we'll move on to LAPD. Lenny, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I certainly will. Sit up straight, hands over hearts.
Okay.
I pledge allegiance
To
to
the
the flag
of the United States of America,
America.
to the republic
To the
for which it stands,
Republic for which it
one
stands,
nation,
One
nation,
nation,
indivisible,
under God,
with liberty and
indivisible,
justice
with
for all.
liberty and justice for all.
I just love how that turns out so coordinated and pretty sounding. What matters is that we say it, but okay. So I'd like to go ahead and go into comments. We'll have LAPD go first. I see that we have Police Chief Moore here. If we want to go ahead and have Chief Moore speak first. Cindy, can you unmute him?
He's a panelist, so I think he can unmute on his own.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. Grant, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, good evening, and good evening to all the members of the Summerton Neighborhood Council. I believe joining me tonight is Captain Marco Lozano, the Foothill Area CO, or Jeff Hollis. Forgive me as I'm walking in late to this meeting. I don't have the visibility on your participant list and so forth, but I believe one of those two captains and some other of our personnel are here, including our senior leads. I appreciate your moving me in this agenda, and my desire is to be here as long as you have questions or concerns, but I also recognize you have a very ambitious agenda. I did feel it was appropriate to come at this point, though, hearing that you had a town hall meeting tonight to discuss what has been an active conversation at a number of Board of Police Commission meetings in the public session, as well as I've had some meetings with some individuals within the Sunland-Tujunga area regarding some personnel movements in LAPD Foothill area over these last few months. And I want to address this in a straight manner, but also tell you right off the bat, I'm disappointed we're doing this via Zoom. I'd rather discuss this where we can sit around a table, we can see each other. But I recognize because of COVID and a number of other complications that Zoom meeting is the best we have. So with that, I wanted to address the larger group, and I also will suggest to you that I'm available for further discussions, whether it be on an individual basis or smaller groups of you. Deputy Chief Alan Hamilton, who's a commanding officer of Operations Valley Bureau, may or may not be on tonight's call, but he is also a resource to discuss matters, as are, of course, the area and patrol captains and the senior leads and leadership from Foothill area. In short, I want to say that while I hear the concerns relative to the influence or people making direction, elected officials or others, as to personnel assignments and transfers and so forth, what I'm prohibited from doing by state law is discussing individual instances of personal actions and decisions that I make, whether it be involving a police officer, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, or above. State law is very clear on this, that because of Peace Officer Bill of Rights and confidentiality laws, that I don't have the liberty of going into individual circumstances. However, I do think that given the nature of the public conversation that has occurred to this point, including information that has not been accurate or necessarily in the right context, I wanted to talk more broadly about, as Chief of Police in this organization for now my 41st year, in the last 4.5 years as chief, how personnel selections are done. And in those selections and assignments are solely at the discretion of the Chief of Police. And I recognize that we're in a very contentious time, and there's arguments and debates and feelings about people's roles and responsibilities. But I take this very, very seriously. And the charter of the city and the governance of the city establishes that the Chief of Police is the sole authority in the promotions, transfers, upgrades, and assignments of all personnel within the Los Angeles Police Department. That is without exception. The Board of Police Commissioners cannot direct me to promote, transfer, or discipline an individual. Neither can an elected official at any position, whether it be the mayor or city council member. And these assignments are based on merit and based on my evaluation of the person's suitability and the needs of the organization, and that includes the needs of the community, and those communities may be varied as to their makeup. My experience is that our elected officials, for the most part, understand this, and they respect it, and they recognize that they may at times voice their support of individuals that they believe has the experience and the temperament to serve well in a position, whether it be a senior lead or a captain or otherwise. They know better than to try to direct any personal action. It would be, in essence, it would be a baseless direction. So it's not only improper in the sense of their role and responsibilities, but it has no authority. Secondly, the same standard applies for community members and for organizations, whether it be a neighborhood council or Business Watch or a chamber or otherwise. The reality is that unlike the Sheriff's Department, which is largely influenced as to who the captains are for their respective contract cities, and they have panelists that actually community members who sit down with applicants and will choose for the sheriff who that captain, they'll oftentimes call him chief, for that station is. Those circumstances don't exist in Los Angeles, and they don't exist because of our history of corruption in the past that we've seen. This goes back to famous movies such as Chinatown and others, that elected officials, politicians in the 20s and 30s, corrupt politicians determined who was chief, who was elected, and who made up the organization. I do and will say that as chief, I take very seriously input from and perspective of stakeholders from throughout the city of all makeups. But plainly stated, and so that I'm clear and on your record, Councilmember Monica Rodriguez did not order, direct, or ask for anyone to be transferred, demoted, or otherwise impacted based on her perception or her value or her characterization of their suitability or their qualifications. I cannot state that more plainly. And to that end, I will say that had she made such a request, first of all, she didn't, but had she, it would not be honored any more than any other elected official. And the same goes, frankly, for that matter, for community members and organizations. I take input, as every good chief does, and every good executive does, from all the representatives and stakeholders and what the shared responsibility of public safety, perspectives and insight. But the determination of coming down to making decisions based on the person's performance and issues and needs of an individual area, or for that matter, the department, rests with me, and I hold that responsibility, and I take it very seriously. Year to date, Foothill area, like many other areas of the city, is a mixed bag of both opportunities and real challenges. Homelessness, shooting violence, and the proliferation of unlicensed cannabis of retailers and grows are your most challenging circumstances. Well, yet at the same time, we see success in Foothill area, where you're down in many crimes in regards to, in fact, you're down in all Part 1 crimes, property and violence, with the exception of homicide, compared to 2019. And I use that date because that was pre-COVID, and the last couple of years are all over the map as far as reductions in crime or increases in crime that have been significantly impacted by just how our society has operated these last few years with COVID restrictions and so forth. But with that said, that work and where you stand today as a community, and that includes the Sunland Tahunga neighborhood, is the result of the proud work of the partnerships between our men and women who work Foothill at all levels, and communities such as yourself. Active members, whether it be a neighborhood council or other organization, or just a simple, regular, straightforward resident or business owner, your willingness and ability to work with us and us with you, and the shared responsibility of identifying what are our most pressing needs, what are resources, and what are strategies that we can press forward. Tonight, I believe, is probably the first opportunity. And again, I believe he's on the call, but Marco Lozano, it was recently appointed as the area commanding officer for Foothill area. Captain Lozano was previously the patrol captain at North Hollywood, which is on the Foothill border, the southern border. Jeff Hollis, I believe this council should have had an opportunity to meet, I would hope, by now, but if not, Jeff Hollis is the patrol captain. He was promoted from a lieutenant rank and has had quite a successful career leading up to this point. These two solid leaders have proven track records of working effectively with both diverse communities of stakeholders, as well as supporting our people in their work and the trying work that they have. I ask for your support in their efforts to move Foothill area further and making it a safer community and dealing with the challenges that we have. And as we look to 2023, I looked to a brighter time where the staffing and deployment of personnel within LAPD, including Foothill area, which by the way, in looking at your staffing numbers, your numbers are, according to the records I have, with 229 personnel, are essentially down about 10 or 11 people from where you were over the last 2 years. And from 2019, you have 5 fewer officers, sergeants, detectives, lieutenants, and captains. So fortunately, because we have harvested and reduced so many of our specialized units and stopped actually many operations across the city, we've been able to largely protect the staffing levels at the area stations. There's still not enough. This is an organization that has suffered and is downsized by more than 800 sworn personnel and 350 civilians. But I have every assurance that with the support of our elected officials and your communities, that we're going to be able to restore positions that were lost over these last 3 years, rebuild this organization, and build this organization and ready it for the challenges of the next decade. And with that, I conclude my remarks. And again, Ms. Grant, I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm sorry for my long-windedness.
No problem. Are there any board members with any questions for Chief Moore? Did you want to take questions?
Sure, absolutely. I'm on your agenda. Thank you. I'm a guest.
Okay, you're good. So is there anyone who wants, any board members who have a question? That, if so, please raise your hand. I do not see any. Okay.
Yes,
thank
you
you.
have, you have one.
Cheryl. Okay, Cheryl, go ahead.
Hi, thanks for being here. I was just wondering, is it normal for captains to tell council people about future search warrants?
It would not be appropriate for a commanding officer to, or anyone for that matter, within the department to tell anyone outside of the department who's not a law enforcement with a need and a right to know about a pending search warrant or other such action of the police department.
And are you aware that Captain Grimes did that and he told Monica Rodriguez?
I'm aware of those allegations. I do not believe that it occurred, but I'm aware of those allegations.
And there is an FBI investigation. I think it's still ongoing. And I guess we as a community were concerned, that our captain was moved in the middle of an FBI investigation of obstruction of justice.
Well, again, I will not comment on the existence or the non-existence of a Bureau of Federal Investigations relative to any type of public corruption. It wouldn't be appropriate to say that such an investigation exists, and it wouldn't be appropriate to say that such an investigation does not exist. That question should be, and that information should come from the Bureau of the Federal Bureau of Investigations.
Okay, we're just, between a rock and a hard place because we're having to choose believing you or Officer Contreras and Captain Smith, because, Contreras said it was retaliation and that he was advised by Captain Johnny Smith that Monica had demanded that Contreras be removed from District 7. So we're just in a hard place here because we have grown an affection for our captain, for our SLOs, and we just want the best community possible and public safety. And that's why we're having a hard time here. Thank you.
Okay. Well, so let me respond briefly that, again, I can't talk about individual actions involving either of the individuals you've talked about. And I'm also aware that, and I believe you are, that both have, in my understanding, filed claims and or litigation involving the department on the basis of their perception of perceived wrongdoings. And I will stand and look forward to the department, myself and others participating in the discussions in the proper forum about the facts and about the circumstances of what exists, what doesn't exist, and why any course or actions were taken. I believe that there's a due process rights that I'm going to honor and respect. It's not appropriate. I don't know. I have no idea how the information of these allegations and contents of this so forth is apparently in various individuals' hands or beliefs. For instance, the investigation of public corruption is not something that should be uttered from anyone in this organization, even to another member of the organization, without a right or need to know. And then certainly that coming out or being asserted in a public forum or in a community setting it's improper. So I would encourage that I recognize that people, yourself and others, that these are two individuals that are proven professionals in the organization. None of us are without fault, and none of us are beyond perfection. What is important at this point is that for me, and really critical, I believe, for the Foothill area, is that to allow the due process of the employment actions and decisions that are made and steps that were taken for that due process to work, and to allow people to provide their information, present their evidence. If this is a matter that is going to be resolved in a court, in a civil court, then that's the appropriate place for it to be resolved, not in a community debate or town hall, and certainly not in a manner where such discussions would violate confidentiality rights of officers, even though those officers themselves may or may not be sharing that information, which in and of itself is not appropriate. But rather than get into that rabbit hole, what I prefer to do is really talk about the future of where we're going. I've had the authority for steps that have been taken to this point, and I look and will respect individual rights and the due process for everyone involved. And that goes to an organization of nearly 13,000 men and women, good people, vast
majority, they get it right and conduct themselves in a proper way. But when they don't, or when there's allegations or assertions otherwise, or just in the management of the organization, things and steps are taken that community members, others may not explain, may not understand. I'm asking you to understand that I'm not at liberty to give you every aspect of information that exists and or specific reasons, nor am I required. But I don't want to get in the position of I'm not required. I want to get into the position of saying these are things that are beyond your control. These are things that I'm restricted, and the restrictions are beyond my control. And what really concerns me is on the 9th of November at 7:30 at night is how do we collectively work going forward? You have a great team of officers in the Foothill area, including the command officers that are backed up by a bureau of Chief Hamilton and Commander Valenzuela, and with that also backed by Assistant Chief Marino and by the Chief of Police. And I know that there'll be critics of that conversation or that remark, but I'm interested in us pulling together, working forward. The matters that are behind us are just that. They'll be resolved however they're going to be resolved, but that's not much going to help what's happening with the pressing needs that you have in Sunland Tujunga. And those pressing needs, we need to have our collective focus on it, and the time and energy that we have together needs to be focused on that. And that's what I'm encouraging all of us to do. And I'm asking for your support in that engagement.
Thank you. We have a community member with his hand raised. Arnie, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Hello?
Yes. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Good evening, Chief, and thank you for joining our community and providing information. I won't comment regarding a lot of the comments community members have made towards myself. I will comment on over the weekend, we did have a burglary in one of my businesses. And I wanted to ask you, because it's been said that we only have one patrol car in the Sunland Tujunga area. And my understanding is that officers cannot respond to a burglary unless they have backup, or what's the process or procedure that officers have to take for their safety and the community's safety when there's a burglary alarm going?
Well, in regards to
a burglary alarm is typically called as a code 30. We normally would dispatch one unit to investigate that, depending on if there's additional information of whether or not there's evidence of an actual burglary in progress. That also would dictate also the location and the type of location it is. For instance, a closed business is not, every closed business is not the same. If a closed business was, for instance, a firearms location with, with guns inside, then that would be escalated so that additional officers would be deployed. But a standard burglary, which a burglar alarm, which we have tens of thousands a day across the city, those are dispatched on a routine basis. Officers will go and investigate, determine if there's any evidence of a break-in. And then if there is, then certainly additional resources would be requested from the area, and if necessary from the surrounding areas, to ensure that there's officer safety, to ensure there's sufficient resources to surround the location and begin investigating whether or not there actually is a burglary, and if it is a burglary, if it's in progress, if there's people still inside, or if they have fled. So once we see evidence of a burglary, which my understanding is, if I understand you, that there was such a burglary, it would be fact dependent on what do the officers see and hear. That would dictate the number of officers that are there. Foothill area, today at 12 noon, I'm sorry, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, had 8 units assigned, working in the areas of the Foothill Command. That is amongst 69 units that were working across the San Fernando Valley. That is amongst 235 units that were working across the entire city. The 8 units that were working there, that is, could those numbers be higher? Absolutely. I would love to see that number double. Those 8 units are 2-person units, and I could easily articulate a need for double that. When you look at response times, scarcity on routine calls for service, those times are now approaching an hour as far as officers' ability to respond to those from the time the call is made to the time it arrives. We still have well under 7 minutes as an emergency call for service. And if an officer needs help or assistance, those response times are also in the minutes for officers to appear.
Okay, thank you. John Bungunton, you have your hand raised.
Yes, Madam President, thank you very much. Chief Moore, you've made a point a few times about due process. That is one of the concerns that we as a community have, exactly with regards to the transfer of Slo Contreras and Captain Smith. From the haste, just simply in the number of days involved, it does not seem like due process had time to occur. And the speed of that, sir, would have been entirely under your direction. We know you are busy. We know you have 1,000 things to do, but we invite you to stay tuned to the rest of our meeting, where some of these points will be voiced in more specificity. So again, thank you for coming, and we assert there is still more to be looked at in this matter. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Trevor, your hand was up. Did you still want to speak?
Yes, Chief Moore, Captain Lozano, thank you both for your service. We just want to express, and it's already been expressed, but the fact that you said 2 things. One was that this is completely your decision and you're not influenced by others, but then there's certain things that were outside of your control. So one thing that we just want to express our great appreciation for both of these gentlemen who were removed, and that we don't understand it and we don't appreciate it. And we would just greatly desire that they would return to their post. And that's our desire.
Okay, and I hear you clearly. I have respect for both of these gentlemen, and I appreciate you understanding that I make my decisions. I'll stand by them. And I would just ask that the individuals that follow those two men are good, solid individuals. They have nothing to do, or solid, I'm sorry, I think the senior lead that you have actually is a woman that comes into that position. But in any case, they are two, I have confidence in the people that follow these two individuals, that they'll meet your needs and that they'll serve you well. And I ask you to give them that opportunity.
Okay, thank you. I see, Arnie, I see that your hand is up again, but we need to move on because we want to let the others speak also. If you could please take it offline. We do appreciate you coming to the meeting tonight, and I hope that your question was answered. What I would like to say is, Chief Moore, I've known you for a long time, and I learned about broken windows theory through you, and we appreciate all of our LAPD. But we also have an understanding that in the upper echelon of leadership, that there is politics involved that just isn't involved in the lower levels. We're not trying to criticize, but one of the things that we very much respected about the officers that we had was that they were open and transparent, and we work very hard to be open and transparent. And we also feel that maybe when people get up to the higher levels, and maybe we're wrong, but we feel that our job is to protect the officers that are working with us every day, the officers that are directly looking out for us, the officers who have invested their time, their energy to get to know us, to work with us. And I think you know this community well enough to know that we will stand up for our officers. We have stood up for LAPD as a whole every time that we've had the opportunity to, but there is a lot of frustration right now. And I just want you to understand, this is not directed at you personally, but this is we have to stand up for systems and things within systems that we feel are failing. As you well know, we've gone through a ton of different officers. We finally get to a point where we have officers that get to stay, and then the whole process starts up again where they start moving them back out. So we're trying to protect our community. We're trying to have a safe place to live. We want to make sure that our businesses are protected. We want to make sure that people aren't dying on our streets from lack of traffic enforcement. And frankly, there's different levels of working with our LAPD, and we don't mind going all the way to the top, but we also respect the transparency and accountability. So I just wanted to say that, and I appreciate you coming tonight. I really do. And I wanted to make sure that we gave Captain Lozano the opportunity to speak too. I'm not dismissing you. If you'd like to stay and listen and contribute more, that's fine. But I don't want to leave them off on the side to where we run out of time and they don't get to speak, especially because Captain Lozano should be introducing herself to the community, since he is right now the replacement for Captain Johnny Smith. Thank you.
So I'm gonna let's hear from Marco. And again, I'll just close. I'm going to remain on the call if there's other questions or comments regarding this. And but at the end of the day, this is a conversation that I agree. I would love to be transparent and be able to share with you everything that I might possess or have, and what goes into my further details about what goes into decisions and so forth. But again, I don't have that liberty. It's not something that I'm choosing not to exercise. It's a prohibition that is explicit and unbending in its application. And so what I will say is, in that our relationship, knowing me over the years, I'm not a person that makes rash decisions, but there are timings of decisions that need to be made that are fact-based and circumstance dependent. And those circumstances and facts, in some instances, cannot be shared with you. And that means that's going to leave you dissatisfied and unhappy. And I recognize that. And the reason I'm here tonight is to address that. I recognize that. I wish I could change that circumstance, but I can't. And so what I am asking is that this not become a distraction to the point that we can't move forward as our collective work towards keeping your community safe.
Thank you very much. Captain Lozano, did you want to speak? I think you can unmute yourself. There you
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is Marco Lozano. I'm hoping that everybody can see me on the screen. Thank you for inviting me to my first Sunland Tahunga Neighborhood Council meeting. I look forward for the foreseeable future for our partnership. I'm a big believer and proponent of the community-based policing philosophy. I believe that we as police officers can't do it all without your support. I'm I have about 28 years on the job, worked a variety of assignments. I'm coming over from North Hollywood. The biggest thing for me is crime, how Foothill is impacting the crime, and to ensure that the community is getting the response that it needs. I believe we have a great here at Foothill. We have a great leadership team, along with my partner Jeff Hollis. We're looking forward for the future and to build upon what Johnny Smith did here on Foothill. My other thing is I want to be out there and see and hear from you on what your concerns are. I know that some of the concerns for the Sunland Tahoma area are the homeless, narcotics, and marijuana dispensaries. And we are focusing in on all those issues to address the quality of life issues with our leadership team and our patrol resources. As far as our crime stats, I'll let Diana Figueroa, the senior lead, talk a little bit about that. But we're doing pretty good. We're looking to build upon that and to continue to move forward in a positive and make strong influence in the areas of crime reduction. I believe that the big thing is that we as officers here in Foothill, we have to be out there and representing the Los Angeles Police Department and its vision on a daily basis, and to continue to be a positive role models for all. Any questions for me?
Arnie, your hand is raised. Did you want to ask a question again?
Yeah, sorry, I have to be unmuted in order to be heard. Yes, I have a question for the captain. Captain, when would you be available to have a coffee with the cops at my coffee shop? Would you be available?
I would love to be out there. We just got to schedule it, and I would definitely myself and my partner, Captain Jeff Hollis, and the leadership team would love that to be out there. And we are scheduling coffee with cops meetings right now. So I will get your telephone number and we'll schedule the coffee with a cop.
Thank you very, very much. Now, I'm sorry I missed Deputy Chief Hamilton. Sorry, I skipped over you. If you would like to speak, you're more than welcome to.
Oh, that's okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm not sure if you promoted me to be a panelist, but as long as you can hear me, I don't think you guys can see me. Can you guys see me?
We can't. When we have the agenda up on the screen, we can't see anybody. Carol or Cindy, did you want to bring that down? I don't have co-hosting capability.
That's okay. I'm just going to be very brief because I know we're going deep into the agenda. I remain available. You will see me throughout the Foothill community as you have in the past, before pre-COVID, and you will see me here in Hollywood Squares and virtually as well. And I, as the chief has stated, myself and my commander, Craig Valenzuela, who's also on, remain available to you. If you do not see us out in the community, if you do not see us at Coffee with a Cop, if you do not see us at Foothill events, which you will be seeing us during the holidays at Foothill events. Please feel free to either drop by or to make an appointment to come see me here at Operations Valley Bureau. For some of you, it is a little bit of a drive, but you're always welcome to come over here to visit. And we are looking at moving forward, being very, very attentive to the Southern Tujunga community's needs and making sure that we're being good partners and honest stewards of all of the issues, whether it is within the realm of what we can handle in terms of a police department, and we'll even help you with things that are outside of our purview to make sure we get you the right contact and the right action on your requests. We remain here to help. You'll see us out in the community, and you're always welcome here. And again, in terms of discussing issues in terms of personnel, although we cannot do that. Again, I listen to input all the time. I weigh it and I consider it. And what I would only ask, as the chief has asked, is that we look at moving forward, working collaboratively with each other and making sure that the community's needs are addressed. I'm going to yield the rest of my time so that we can continue, but I am going to remain on the call.
Okay, thank you so much. Do we have also, I just want to make sure we got everybody, then we'll go to Officer Figueroa. Officer Figueroa, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Hi. Thank you. I just want to say thank you, Chief Moore. Thank you, Deputy Chief Hamilton, and Captain Lozano for coming on this forum and speaking to the community. I also wanted to say, as Captain Lozano has said, that we do rely on you, the community, to give us feedback for quality of life issues or concerns so that we are able to relay it back to patrol, meet with detectives, as well as the city attorney, so that I can gather solutions to solve some of these issues, or at least minimize some of these crimes. Also, there have been extra patrol that we've also been doing to help house the homeless or provide them any type of resources. We've worked some extra patrol to go check on the locations where these crimes are occurring. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and give you the crime statistics as of this far, 2022. So for the Lakeview Terrace, Shadow Hills, and Sunland, Tujunga, for homicides, we've had 1 year to date. Rape is, we only have had 2. Robbery is up 14. We've had some aggravated assaults, which is up 63. Burglaries are up 79. We have some grand theft autos, which is up at 96. Burglary thefts from motor vehicles is up 150. Thefts is up 77. And for the car 859, which is the Sunlit Tujunga area, we are homicide, again, it's just 1. Rape, there are 2 categories. The part 1 rape, we have 4, and then the part 2, there are 2 rapes that I'm showing here. There's a robbery year to date of 10. We have aggravated assaults up to 31. Burglaries are up to 66. Grand theft autos are up 65. Burglary theft from motor vehicles are up 83. Grand theft person is really down. We've only had 2. Thefts is up at 56. So again, I've told you before, and I'll tell you again, feel free to call me or email me, send me a text. I will respond to you as soon as I can. And I don't mind meeting with you or speaking to you on the phone, and we can try to get solutions for this. Also, I believe Arnie had mentioned Coffee with the Cop. I was planning on doing one. Unfortunately, I've become ill and I'm gonna have to cancel that. But once I do get back to work, I will be able to send information out as far as Coffee with the Cop. And I appreciate you allowing us to use your business, Arnie. So with that, are there any questions for me?
Are there any questions from the board members? John Mangetta, go ahead.
Officer Figueroa, thank you so much for being here. You mentioned you were under the weather. We are sorry to hear that. Please take your vitamins. You mentioned we couldn't do coffee with a cop. Does that at all influence the planned upcoming Neighborhood Watch Zoom meeting that we are going to have next week?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I appreciate your comments. But yes, I won't be able to make it to the meeting next week. I will be sending out an email advising everybody.
Arnie, we're gonna still try to have that with the supervisor for the unit, and then we are gonna schedule that coffee with a cop as soon as possible with some of our other senior lead officers and myself and Captain Jeff Hollis.
Thank you guys very much. Ed has his hand raised. Ed, go ahead, please.
Thanks. And just kind of echoing some of the stuff we heard earlier, but some of the frustration for myself. Having a business here in Tujunga has been getting more and more difficult with the number of robberies and break-ins that we've had. How do we get some additional support up here? Because quite honestly, those business owners in the area are starting to just kind of think about, when is it my turn? We've seen Peñas broken into twice. We've seen obviously Natural Aid now having been broken into, other businesses amongst the Foothill Corridor being broken into. We can't seem to stop this from happening. Joselito's got hit, earlier this year a couple of times. We know that there are certain things that put businesses at risk, and we can definitely educate business owners not to carry money in their registers overnight. But aside from that, businesses like my own, we don't carry money and we're still at risk, and it's something that we're fearful at all times. So how do we get some additional support, especially in the late evening hours, to just patrol Foothill Boulevard and those businesses that are sitting right on the corridor? Can I weigh in on this just for a moment?
Sure, go ahead, Captain.
Okay,
Hollis.
so I want to make sure that, and I want to thank the officer for being here and being under the weather, and speaks volumes for your just your dedication to this community. In presenting the numbers to you, for instance, in burglaries, in the Tujunga area, the number of burglaries this year are 66 for the entire year. Last year, that number was 85. The year before that was 94. I just want to remark that, because in the presentation, you may get the impression that burglaries are up 65 over a period of time. But the numbers that we're given tonight actually were the total numbers for the year in your respective communities. And what we didn't give was what it looked like before. That's why overall Foothill is down in many areas. Now, having said that, that doesn't do much good for a business owner that has their businesses broken into. Burglaries across the city, we've seen commercial burglaries, the increase, and they are the smashes that are people trying to pilfer through change and cash drawers that are left out, or other property that's around there. I will say that Foothill area, like every area across the city, goes through crime statistics and mapping and the location of those crimes on a daily basis. And they identify missions and strategies to combat the hotspots, or these frequent instances or recurring instances. And that's where the senior lead, working under the directions of the captains, can discuss with you what those missions are and how we are shifting on a regular basis, on a daily basis. They have crime control meetings daily at a 9:30 check-in, and then a crime control weekly, where they talk about their week-long strategies. And just as you talked about there, business owners, we need to improve the safety of those locations by working together to prevent these crimes. But make no mistake that the resources, 200 plus personnel that are in the Foothill area, are constantly adjusting their deployments to work on the ever-changing nature of crime and how it presents itself in your communities.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any other questions from board members? I got to get in there and see hands. Okay. Okay, well, we thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. Like I said, you're welcome to stay. We just wanted to make sure that you were all heard. I do have a question, and that is, we continue to have problems up here with traffic issues. We know that all of you have, even though traffic comes out of Van Nuys, we know that LAPD has the power to move people around. We are having an almost unbearable amount of people running stop signs, just flying down Foothill, passing people on the right through the gutters. Can we ask for some additional enforcement up here? We do have a letter that has gone to Senator Portantino asking for an additional officer, traffic officer, to help us out with the problems here. We did set that up, I believe, last year or the year before with Portantino, but then the council member did not support it, and they had no way to get the money to LAPD. So if we find resources, are you guys committed to helping us get the services that we need?
Yeah, so let me address that directly. Captain Andy Nyman is the commanding officer of Valley Traffic. There are 4 traffic divisions in the city. Currently, his command and the 3 other traffic commands are down approximately 100 personnel from what we would like for them to have. And I've made some directions for us to realign our personnel across the organization so that we can ensure that they have staffing, not just for the response to collisions, but for traffic enforcement to include street racing and these street takeovers. Additionally, there are additional monies set aside for traffic enforcement for overtime details. And I'll ask Chief Hamilton to work with Chief Graham to ensure that the Valley Traffic resources that they're there, they are sparse, but that they are working in concert with Foothill area to target these high injury zones and these beats that have these flagrant violations of basic traffic rules. So we'll look on that. That is something that senior lead officers, whether it be Officer Figueroa or others, can identify, and they have counterparts within Valley Traffic act as senior leads that help direct the available resources, motor officers and others into those neighborhoods.
Chief, I'm still on. I will ensure that we coordinate that with their assigned VTD coordinator, and I will talk to Andy directly. And I know that that is one of the high injury network zones up there, and I will make sure that it gets addressed. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments? Anybody else want to weigh in? Okay, okay. I think that there's got to be a lot more conversation, and I know that there's already been offers to meet offline. I have no problem doing that, and I do appreciate the officers are here. We do have a letter on an agenda item for a special meeting, which we will break into, but we have something else we need to address first, and that is we have a presentation from Paola from the city clerk's office, and I know she's probably worked all day and is now here helping. I do have one more attendee comment before we move on to Paola, and then we'll go into the special meeting. Mark Dutton, you had a question or comment?
I did. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief Moore, for being on this meeting. We really appreciate that. As you know, we're all kind of upset at what happened. So I just have one question. Is the reason you can't get into the details of why those officers were moved because of the pending lawsuits? Or is it because you are not allowed to, directed by our council person?
Oh, so that's a simple question. The council member has no influence on my ability to provide you information. I am limited by state confidentiality laws in concert with any pending litigation. Those are two controlling factors. But again, let me restate this. I can't, for everyone on this call, I work and live and love the city, and I'm here to do the best I can. But I've lived it by code my entire life, and I don't intend to change it now. And that is that I'll be as fair and transparent with you. And that means when I can tell you something, I'll tell you. When I can't, I'll tell you that. But I'll also be more than happy to say that, as I said earlier, There's not a council member in this organization, 15 of them in this city, and none of them have told me, nor will I allow them to, who I pick, who I don't pick, and who is assigned and who is promoted or otherwise. They can, people, every stakeholder on this call, as well as across the city, as Chief Hamilton indicated, we all want to listen, we want to hear, we want to gain your perspective as it helps shape ours. But we are the ones responsible for these decisions, and no one outside this organization. And that includes, by the way, the Board of Police Commissioners. I'm their sole employee. They can fire me or do whatever they wish, but they cannot tell me who to promote or who to demote or who to discipline. That's garnered, that's controlled by the charter. And as a department, we're very proud about that. And I've worked for a number of chiefs before me, and by gosh, I'm not going to change that now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, like I said, I'm sorry, we have to go to Paola because like I said, I know she's been working all day and we promised her she could have her time. Paola, are you there? Cindy or Carol, can you help me? There she is. I don't have the ability to move her over. Can you do that? Paola.
She's there now.
Okay.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Nice to see some familiar faces.
We're happy to have you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lydia. So my name is Paula Posada. I am your new election administrator from the Office of the City Clerk. So I just wanted to provide you with some updates in regarding to your neighborhood council election for 2023. So the mayor did approve our budget to conduct a hybrid election. This just simply means that your stakeholders will have the flexibility to vote at a polling place or by mail. And we just want to ensure the maximum participation with this hybrid model. So we are happy to have that this upcoming election cycle. We are currently updating our website. We do have the 2023 regional election schedule posted, as well as the NC election timeline and the new election handbook for this cycle that can be found in our website. That's clerk.lacity.org/NC elections. We'll also continue updating it with all the forms in the upcoming weeks. We are currently trying to secure each NC's polling site by utilizing the election information worksheet. I know I've been working with Lydia in regards to your neighborhood council's request to use the city hall. So we're also working on translating all the election materials onto the languages requested on that election information worksheet as well. Now, we did have requests to change the order of the regions for the neighborhood council elections. The elections will take place late March through end of June. So we're going to start with the West Los Angeles areas, followed by the Harbor, the South Los Angeles areas, Central Los Angeles areas, and then we'll end with the Valley neighborhood councils. Your neighborhood council election will be Saturday, June 3rd. That again is Saturday, June 3rd for Sunland Tujunga. The candidate filing period will remain open for 45 days and will start February 3rd through March 20th. Now, candidates can submit application using the online portal, or they can utilize the paper application. Our office is in works to create election material, including instructional videos to assist stakeholders with filing their candidate application. As far as the deadlines, we are moving our deadlines to 11:59 p.m. However, just note that staff will only be available during regular office hours to assist candidates and voters. In terms of your hybrid election model, again, your stakeholders will have one or two options to vote this upcoming election. To vote by mail, stakeholders may request a ballot using the portal by completing a paper application starting April 4th through May 15th. Our office will review each application to verify that the stakeholder meets your neighborhood council's requirement to receive a ballot. And we'll begin mailing out those ballots 35 days prior to the election. Vote by mail ballots returned by mail must be postmarked by election day and received by our office up to 10 days after the election to be counted. However, if a stakeholder didn't receive a ballot, or maybe they forgot to mail it in on election day or postmarked by election day, they can always go ahead and drop it off on election day to the polling place or vote in person. So that's the beauty of the hybrid model. A roster of stakeholders who voted by mail will be at each polling location to prevent double voting. Also note that the county-owned ballot drop boxes will not be utilized in 2023. Again, stakeholders can drop off their vote by mail ballots at the polling place on election day. In accordance with current city policy, proof of vaccination or negative COVID test within the past 72 hours will be required to enter the polling place. If a voter cannot provide any of the required COVID documents, they will be able to vote curbside. At this point, masks are strongly recommended, but not required to enter a polling place. Just note that these all of these COVID policies are current. They can change. This is the mayor's current directive with this. In terms of election day challenges, an independent grievance panel will be the deciding body for the election day challenges. The panel will be made up of 2 NC stakeholders and 1 city clerk representative. We will also be in need of community volunteer poll workers. Stakeholders will have the opportunity to serve as poll workers on election day. Those who are interested must submit an application to our office 30 days prior to the election. They must be 18 years of age or older, speak, write, and read in English, and attend a mandatory poll worker training before election day. For more information regarding the independent grievance panel and the community volunteer poll worker program, we will make that information available on our website in the upcoming weeks. I look forward to working with your neighborhood council in this upcoming election season. I know I've worked with some of you in the past with neighborhood council funding, so it'll be great to work with you in this new capacity. Thank you, Lydia, for allowing me to come in, and I can take questions.
Okay, are there any questions from board members? John Von Gunton. Oh, yeah, John Von Gunton, go ahead.
Thank you. Paola, thank you so much for staying here at this ungodly hour. It's only going to get worse if you stick around for the election cycle. I wanted to ask, when you talk about verifying that no one has voted by mail and then comes in to vote in person, what, if any, picture ID will you require from those who show up at the site, or ID for that matter for those who vote by mail, to ensure that Joe is Joe and Alma is Alma, so that we don't get any duplicates?
That's a great question. I don't have the answer right now, but I can get with Lydia. Oh, Renee is here to help me with that question.
Cindy, can you unmute Renee?
She's unmuted.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Michael. Sorry, have a kid in the house. So good evening, everyone. Thank you for acknowledging that we have been working all day, but just know that we are here to provide any assistance and information that we possibly can to make sure your elections are successful. So what it's going to determine is if your NC is a documentation required or a self-affirmation. I believe you all are documentation required. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. So what a stakeholder will, so when the stakeholders come to the polling place, what we will do is we will check their name against the roster to see if they were issued a vote by mail ballot. If they were issued a vote by mail ballot and do not have that ballot with them to surrender, at that time, we will require that they vote provisionally. And so what will happen is by them voting provisionally, it will allow us to take that ballot back to our office and see if we indeed receive that vote by mail ballot. If we receive the vote by mail ballot in the office prior to election day, that will be the ballot that will count. If we see that the vote by mail ballot was not returned, then we'll count the provisional ballot. Granted, the stakeholder provided the proper documentation to prove their stakeholder status.
Thank you. One thing I wanted to say to the board is every year when they decide what order the votes are going in, for many years, we were the region that went first. So we kind of lost out on the things that they figured out later in the election cycle and offered for outreach and things like that. One thing that's happening this year that's it's new and I guess they couldn't figure out a way to do it differently. But some of the neighborhood council elections, I believe, are in the first ones are in February, January, February, correct?
The first elections are in late March.
Late March. So the first elections are in late March, but the boards will not be seated until July. So that means they're literally going to have like a shadow board watching everything the board does, waiting for their seats to open up so they can do it different. It's going to be very strange for many neighborhood councils. We are very fortunate that our election's in June, so we will not have that issue. But that's one of the quirks of changing the system. Okay, Trevor has his hand up. If you guys don't mind answering a question, go ahead, Trevor.
Oh, with respect to the COVID restrictions, since in hindsight, the vaccine did not prevent COVID and it actually caused many adverse events and deaths. Why is that still a requirement since society has opened and even the president has said there is no more pandemic, that it's over? Thank you.
So go ahead, Paula, go ahead.
Thank you, Renee. So that is the current mayor's directive that was just released late October. As I mentioned, things can change from here to June. So we're just going based on those directives that the mayor has proposed to us.
Right. And that's based on, what's that based on, his directive?
That's so his directive is based upon his position on the pandemic that we're in right now. So again, it's a very fluid situation. We may find that by June, there may be even a different mayor. Well, there definitely will be a different mayor in office by then, but because we are now recruiting polling places, we have to go by the mayor's mandate that is currently in place. And so that is what the information that we're providing, that's the guideline that we're bound to as of today. So if your election day was tomorrow, then absolutely we will be under that mandate unless he makes a change tonight, for instance. By June, it is very possible that we will be in a different place. We would need to see what the stance of the current mayor at that time is in terms of how we respond to COVID-19. And at that point, whatever the directive is on that day of your election, that's what will be in place. And so it's very possible that there may not be a requirement of proof of vaccination or a negative COVID-19 test within the last 72 hours. We're just really going to have to kind of wait and see. But because that's the mandate as of now, that is what the information we have to provide and go by.
Thank you, guys. Cheryl, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to suggest maybe we could just hold our breath instead, like he did at Super Bowl during state of emergency. Thank you.
Trevor, you asked a question already? Yeah, I think Trevor made the comment. Who else had their hand up?
Lala.
Okay. Lala, go ahead, please. Lala.
There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, in our last election, we had mail-in ballots and there was quite some confusion. Some people never got their ballots. Some people got ballots with the wrong names on it to their correct address, but with wrong names. There were various things where people thought they had voted and somehow they didn't. I'm just wondering what's going to be put in place to make the voting process simpler and easier to actually get through it, so you don't have to be a computer expert in order to get your ballot. Last time I had to walk many people through it. Okay, go here, click that, go here, click that. Okay, now that's where you put your request in, you know, and I'd like to see it user-friendly. So what have we got for that coming up?
So we are going to still require that if you want to receive your ballot by mail, that you have to either complete a paper application and send it into our office. If you're not comfortable with navigating the online portal, but we do have that online vote by mail portal available again this election season. What we've done is we have made some updates to it to make navigating it a little bit easier. We've improved our document upload process that was very cumbersome in the last election. We got a lot of feedback about that. So now that's a one-step process. I think we had a lot of issues with folks thinking that they had uploaded their documents when in fact they had not. What we've also done too is we're going to create step-by-step videos that will also help folks navigate that process. We did have that in the last election season. We'll have that again this time. In terms of receiving ballots in a timely manner, what we are doing this time around, because we recognize that there are issues with the mail service and different things of that nature. So in the prior election, stakeholders could wait until 7 days before the election to submit that application. But we found that for the time for us to process it and mail it out to you all, some of you did not get those ballots on time. And so what we've done is we've moved up the deadline date approximately 2 weeks from election day. And that's so that if a stakeholder does submit that application on that very last day, that still gives us about 14 days to process that application, get it in the mail, and send it to you all. And the good thing about doing it earlier this time is it do allow you time to receive it. And if you do not have time to mail it back by election day, you can always go into a polling place and drop that voted ballot off. So that's just some of the things that we've done. We'll always have staff available to walk folks through the application process. We can do Zoom for folks who need attention over the phone. Our offices will be open, so folks can even come into our office if necessary. So, and we are also making improvements to the portal so that now when we are processing your ballot, when we mail your ballot, and when we receive your voted ballot, not only will it show in the portal under your status, but you'll also receive automated emails. And so you won't be left wondering if your ballot has been mailed to you or if we received it. You'll get those emails saying to look out for it. It's in the mail. If you don't receive it in a couple of days, call. So there's quite a few things that we're doing to try to make that vote by mail process a lot easier. We did, have a lot of challenges in 2021, and we have made a significant amount of improvements to try to make the process a lot easier this time around.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. KT, you have your hand up. Would you like to make a comment or have a question?
I have a question. The way that the county clerk deals with elections is that if you voted in the last election cycle, you get your voting materials in the mail the next election cycle. Are those of us who voted in the last election cycle and received our materials through the mail, are we required to register once again?
So yes, in neighborhood council elections, we do not keep what you would call voter registration rolls. In each election, we consider that a new election. And reason being is because in communities, you have so much movement. It would be hard for us to ensure that registration is accurate. It is current with so many businesses, coming into the community, leaving the community, as well as people that live, that own property. It would just be very hard to maintain a registration roll for the different neighborhood councils. And so that's why with each election, we, provide the information to the community. We rely heavily upon the councils to get that information out to the stakeholders and make them aware that there's an election, that they can either run as a candidate or vote in for each individual election every year.
Well, the way that the county voter rolls do it is that if you skip an election, they delete you from the voter rolls. If the post office returns the mail as undeliverable, you get deleted from the voter rolls. Don't these things count? With you, couldn't, for the ease in allowing, excuse me for bringing this up, but considering how few people vote in the elections, wouldn't it encourage more people to vote if they didn't have to re-register every single election cycle? Has that been considered?
I totally understand. I totally understand your point. And so what I would say is that for the county, it's a little easier because their registration is strictly based upon where a person's live, their residence. So it's a little easier to maintain that voter registration. For our stakeholders, we have the 4 different types of stakeholders. And so it is much harder to maintain where a person lives, where they work, where they own property, where they have a community interest, meaning where they could go to church, be involved with a community organization, go to school. And so, it's not as easy as just simply, if we were just basing our registration on the stakeholders who live within the neighborhood council, yes, that may be a little easier to manage. But again, because of the different types of stakeholders, that's a little harder for us to do and harder for us to manage. And to mail out information, the cost of the mailing and the printing, and not knowing if these individuals still live in their locations, own property in their locations, work, or have a community interest in these same locations. We have a very limited budget, and we just find that our resources are better allocated to other operations at this time. But it is something we hear a lot, KT, and we do consider it during our off season every year because it does come up a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. So Carol had a comment or question. Go ahead, Carol.
Yes, first I want to thank you for taking on the challenges. I know as we all struggled through the last election period trying to help people, especially people that don't have computers or don't want to use their cell phones, to get registered. In fact, our very own city councilwoman accused us of voter suppression. For what? Because we have absolutely no control over this. But to stand up in a meeting and accuse our board of voter suppression was gobsmacking, for one thing. But And my other comment is kind of a question. I mean, we didn't need to have proof of vaccination or a proof of a negative COVID test to vote in the midterms that we just finished. And so it's kind of silly that, but you're making the exception for a little neighborhood council vote. So those are my two comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. Just to add to that, and then we need to move on. For those on the neighborhood council, I just wanted to let you know, the council file that Monica Rodriguez filed against neighborhood councils calling Sunland Tonga Neighbor out for voter suppression. We had the statistics have been presented by the department. Just so you know, Renee and Paola, the department used statistics that do not match the city clerk's numbers of who voted and where. They also do not match the department's own numbers, and the department and the city clerk numbers should match. So that was one issue. Second, Sunland Tonga Neighborhood Council happened to be the 6th highest election in the entire city of Los Angeles out of all 99 neighborhood councils. So the fact that we were called out publicly for voter suppression when there were other neighborhood councils who only had 30 or 20 votes is absolutely disgusting and unacceptable. But we'll be taking on those issues coming up soon. And then I would like to go ahead and Mark Dutton has a question, and then we'll go ahead and let Paul and Renee go. And we certainly appreciate that you've come. Go ahead, Mark.
Yes, thank you, ladies, for being on the meeting. Just real briefly, like KC said, when you were speaking to KC, you said it's not easy to collect that data. I mean, I've got 3,000 phone numbers and addresses in my iPhone. I don't understand what's so difficult for the city. I mean, I'm assuming they have computers. Nothing, I'm not attacking you personally, but it feels like we're being gaslit at this point. And then just to rewind for a second, you said, I think Renee, you said that the mayor decided the COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
I guess 2 quick questions. What qualifies the mayor medically to determine that? And if he's basing it on data, what data is he basing that on?
I think that would be a question that's best left for the mayor's office or one of their representatives. I don't know that he is making the decision from a medical standpoint. It's just his city's response to the pandemic and how he feels that it should be handled. I think for the specifics behind his reasoning or his decisions should definitely be directed to their office. We are mandated to follow his policy. We're not, as a city department, we're not able to set policies that go against a mandate. And so that's why our hands are sort of tied at this point. But again, the situation is fluid, and we'll have to see in June, what the policy is that's in place at that time. In terms of the voter registration rolls, I get that for your neighborhood council, that might be something that may be a little bit manageable for us, but because that is something that we would have to offer to all 99 neighborhood councils in our election and within the 12 regions, at that point, it would become a lot for us. But again, it's not something that we are ruling out. It is definitely something, after each election season, we take that off year to take a look at a lot of our different operations to see, well, first we have our feedback sessions right after the election season. We get a lot of your feedback. Again, this is something that we've heard before, and during that off season, we do try to see if there's a way that we are able to accomplish some of the things that the NC leaders would like to see us do. We look at our resources, we look at our tools, we look at our budget. And so we do take things into consideration. So just know that it's not something that is gonna always be a definite no. It's just at this point where we are, we're just unable to accomplish that at this time.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming this evening. You're always welcome to give us updates. Just let us know so we can put you on the agenda.
Thank you so much for
But
having
we
us.
do thank you. Okay.
Have a good
We
night.
know you don't make the rules, but we appreciate you trying to answer the questions.
You're very welcome. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, let's go ahead and move in. Let's go ahead and hold on one second. Did I have another hand up? Did I have another? I
No.
need to
No.
verify. Okay, okay. So let's move on to the special meeting agenda.
So you're
Because we have
recessing this
well,
meeting?
yes, because we still have everybody staying here and they may leave if after this other topic. I'm not saying they have to leave, but I don't want to feel people have to stay all night because we haven't gotten to it yet. And then we are going to have to move faster to get through the rest of the agenda because we have a lot of stuff.
Lydia, what about the representatives? Did you want to do them first or after the special agenda?
Let's go to the special agenda. Because if we have so many officers here that may need to get back to work, I really don't want to hold them up if they have to go. So let's go ahead and move to, I'm going to recess this meeting, the general meeting of the neighborhood council, the general board meeting. We will move into the special meeting. Carol, can you go ahead and take roll?
Yes. All right. Lydia Grant.
Here.
Lala Rowe.
Here.
Shauna Scanlon.
Here.
Ed Babakanian.
Here.
Carol Hutchinson is here. Lenny Freeman.
Here.
KT Travers.
Here.
Trevor Schmidt.
Here.
Claire Gordon.
Claire has had to leave.
Okay. John Van Gunten.
Here.
Karen Moran.
Here.
Belinda Woodruff.
Here.
Cheryl Smith.
Here.
Mike Goldlia.
Here.
Shirley Kim.
Here.
Thank you. Chris Rowe.
Here.
Nina Royal.
Here.
Cindy Cleghorn.
Present.
Jerry McCoy.
Present.
And Mark Siegel.
Aki.
Okay, and you have quorum.
Thank you. So now we're going to continue with the special meeting agenda. We've already done the call to order. Well, I've just called it to order. Roll call, discussion, action, motion to approve McCourty Arts Center Arts and Crafts Fair December 3rd and 4th, a 2022 sponsorship for up to $1,000.
Madam President,
Yes.
this is Cindy Cleghorn. I will be stepping off and recusing myself due to the fact that McCourty is a customer of mine. So I will see you after this agenda item. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam President, I tried to reach the city attorney to get a ruling from her as Cindy's significant other, but she has not responded as far as I can tell. But so I am going to also recuse myself just in case.
Okay, Raul, I know you're in the audience. I know you're probably chomping at the bit to say something. Did you? Oh, he's not here. We must have bored him. I'm kidding. Okay, well, he's not here, so let's go ahead and we'll address the item. McCourty Arts Center is having their arts and crafts fair. I believe they're doing their chili bowls. This is their typical December fundraiser. They're sorry for the late notice, which is why it had to go on a special agenda because they were not back in person where they were able to address this earlier and they were running
Excuse me,
out.
Lydia, they're not
Yes.
doing the chili this year.
Okay.
It'll be everything else but the chili itself.
Okay, they're gonna do the ceramic bowls though, right?
Yes.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's what I meant, the ceramic bowls for that they usually serve chili in, but yes. Okay, do I have a motion for the item?
Well, this is Carol. I'll make the motion.
Okay, so Carol made the motion. Nina, that was you. Did you want to make a second?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any comments from board members? If so, please raise your hand.
I went to it a couple of years ago as actually Liliana and I went as SPNC representatives, and we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to go. Everybody should go.
And we should be able to have a booth at the event. So if anybody is interested in manning the booth and attending, let us know so that we can make sure that we have people there from outreach. Sherry, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Sure, just one question because I have neighbors who have asked about this. Do we know why they are not doing the chili, and will there be food, or what's the plan?
We do not know the answer to that. Let me check real quick. Is there anybody here from McGroarty Art Center that wants to raise their hand and answer this question, just in case I'm missing somebody?
I did invite them.
Okay, and this is for the first weekend in December, so we will not have another meeting before then, which is why we moved this forward. Ed, go ahead.
Hi, sorry, just wanted to point out to the board, this item came in after the budget and finance meeting, so it wasn't considered in our agenda. But we said, go ahead and put it on this agenda for discussion for the board. So just want to let the public know that wasn't discussed by the budget and finance committee.
Correct. Correct. And if it was not for the fact that they are having it the first weekend in December and we don't meet again, we would not have put it on the agenda. So it's up to the board to make the decision. So with that, do I have any comments from board members? Anybody else?
Me, I will.
Go ahead.
Yes, McGroarty is a 501c3 and they do a lot for the community, which is why I am supporting it.
Thank you. And we also did it as a sponsorship package. So not only will we be able to participate with the table, but they will put the neighborhood council and all the outreach materials that they continue to still put out. Okay, are there any comments from attendees? Anyone in the community that wants to make a comment on this? I do not see any hands raised. Okay, Carol, could you please call? Oh, Cheryl, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that part. So you said we're not allowed to have an outreach table?
I said we are.
Oh,
We can
thank
have
you.
an outreach table and participate.
Okay, I will get on top
And
of that.
they
Thank you.
will put us on all the outreach materials that they have not made already.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
Ready?
Carol, can we call the vote? Yes.
Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Lala Rowe. Lala? I'll come back. Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes, Lenny Freeman,
Yes.
Katie Travers,
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt,
Yes, yes.
Claire Gordon. Oh, Claire Scott, I'm sorry. John Van Gunten,
I can't vote on this one.
are you recusing yourself?
It's a funding vote.
It's a funding matter and I haven't updated my funding.
Oh, that's right. I'm
yet.
sorry. Yes, you're right. Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Schmidt,
Yes.
Mike Goldzia,
Yes.
Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Yes.
Cindy Claycorn.
Cindy's recused herself.
Oh, that's right. And Sherry McCoy.
Yes.
Okay, and Mark recused himself. Okay,
And my sound went out, but I vote yes.
Thank you, Lola.
okay. Now,
Let's all mess up Carol.
Sorry about that.
16, it passed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, the next item, Carol, can you put up the screen?
Cindy, well, the next item Cindy wanted to put on the screen, so let me,
Okay.
I need to find her. So I can put the agenda up though.
Okay, that would help. So then I can at least call it out.
All right. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. So the next item is discussion action motion to submit. Wait,
Community impact statement.
yeah, the community impact statements, Board of Council file, municipal lobbying ordinance regarding neighbor councils. The Sunland Tonga Neighborhood Council supports the changes to the municipal lobbying ordinance, MLO, regarding neighbor councils, as we also request a consideration of changes to a few minor areas of the draft MLO that we believe will benefit transparency in the city. We urge the committee chair, Paul Krikorian, to schedule this council file for consideration and a vote in the Rules, Elections, and Intergovernmental Relations Committee. Under section 48.08.8 of the current lobbying ordinance, a lobbying disclosure is only required for written communications to neighborhood councils. We believe the ordinance should be updated to include the same disclosure when a lobbyist makes an oral presentation or public comment to neighborhood council that is related to their lobbying efforts. Therefore, we deeply agree with section 4811 of the draft municipal lobbying ordinance under consideration. As you may be aware, neighborhood councils continue to meet telephonically due to COVID, and it is widely expected that this will continue in at least some form, even if the pandemic passes. Additionally, under AB 361, we are prohibited from requiring speaker cards, which is where traditionally lobbying disclosures had happened on our council. While Sunland Tonga Neighborhood Council can require a disclosure for its own meetings, that disclosure has no teeth for enforcement as it is not an ordinance. And it also does not address the other 98 neighbor councils, which similarly serve as elected advisory bodies to the city. We believe a lack of oral lobbyist disclosure requirement leaves many neighbor council board members at an information disadvantage that should be addressed for the following reasons. I think you've all read this, but I'll just read the categories. Carol, if you can scroll up: for transparency, for diffusion of responsibility, for lack of training. And in addition, the Sunland Tonga Neighbor Council would like to request a similar lobbying disclosure for city council and committee meetings. This announcement could either be done by the lobbyist or the presiding officer of the meeting in order to ensure the public is fully aware of the associations of all speakers who are paid lobbyists. Neighbor council members frequently listen to city council meetings or recordings of the meetings, and we strongly feel that this minor addition would bring greater transparency to the city process, and we urge the city council to adopt this minor change. Lastly, the Sunland Tonga Neighbor Council urges the city council to adopt a nonprofit exemption of $200,000 in revenue or $500,000 in assets instead of the proposed $2 million. This change aligns with the IRS tax filing system, would essentially allow any nonprofit that files a 990N or a 990EZ to gain exemption. The change also reflects the current San Francisco ethics ordinance. The current recommendations of $2 million revenue is far too high and exempt the vast majority of nonprofits in Southern California. Only 16% of the Southern California nonprofits have revenues above $1 million, so an exemption set at twice that amount would have a grave effect on transparency. Thank you for consideration of this topic. So I just want to make one comment because it's all happened to us. If you remember when we had the topic for discussion of the Whiteman Airport, we had many people here from Pacoima Beautiful who are paid lobbyists that work for that organization, and they came and joined our conversation against the views of the Sunland Tonga Neighborhood Council. They did not state that they were lobbyists. They did not state that they were paid to be at our meeting, yet they infiltrated the meeting and went ahead and spoke up. That is a nonprofit that might not make up to $2 million, so they would not be required to report to us unless we go ahead and push through this adjustment to the ordinance. So I know I said a lot. I hope you all caught it. Do I have any questions from board members? Okay, if so, please raise your hand. Okay, I do not see any hands raised. That includes the officers. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to speak up. Any questions? I know I see Jamie's hand. Is there any other questions from community members? I see 2 hands. Jamie York is the one who brought it to us. Jamie is on Rosita's Neighborhood Council. Jamie, if you want to go ahead.
Hi, thank you so much for considering this for your agenda. I just want to say that 41 other neighborhood councils have passed statements of support or support if amended. The municipal lobbying ordinance has not been comprehensively updated since 1994. Every single time the Ethics Commission comes forward with very reasonable updates and changes that would benefit transparency in the city council lets it die in committee. And I am determined that if enough neighborhood councils pass something in support of this, that we can be the force that forces that change and allows much greater just transparency in the city and just much greater disclosure of who is being paid to influence what. And as Lydia said, you guys have already had your own experience with lobbyists. Many neighborhood councils have had this, up to and including neighborhood councils where lobbyists have come and lied about their status as lobbyists until being called out. We see this a lot with planning and land use issues, but it's also been on some contentious council files as well. Staying agnostic of like the issues, I truly believe in transparency, and I truly believe that everyone has the right to be able to follow that information. And I think that this is something that would benefit the neighborhood council system immensely, but I also think that it would benefit the city immensely. And I really thank you for taking the time to listen to it. So thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Rob Kwan, did you have a comment?
Yes, thank you. And I appreciate the neighborhood council scheduling this item. I can't overstate the importance of your voice joining in here. It's really important for your Councilmember Rodriguez, to hear you on this issue. It really doesn't matter what perspective you're coming to the issues from. If special interests are mucking up the issue and reaching our elected officials or decision makers without us knowing who they are or who's funding them, that's just going to lead us to bad policy, and it's helped create a culture of corruption at City Hall. I want to just note, Councilmember Rahman introduced a motion that reflects all of those hard-fought demands of NCs that Jamie mentioned just now. This motion needs to move forward ASAP. This is something that we can fix. This doesn't need to go to the charter. And this is big. I mean, it comes down to there's, the neighborhood council issue and the nonprofit exemption, which are really big. But I want to just note that, who is and isn't a lobbyist? When do they become a lobbyist? These are questions that are not clearly answered by our current law. Right now, there's an hourly threshold that a lobbyist has to hit for them to actually be brought under the law. So that makes the job for the Ethics Commission impossible, because they have to prove somebody worked 30 hours in a quarter. And lobbyists are getting a lot better at evading the law. There are massive loopholes. It costs the Ethics Commission a ton of time and money to prosecute these cases. And I just note that the Cowan Commission 30 years ago, when they looked at this, when we had a crisis in ethics in City Hall, they put out a report that said no minimum number of contacts should be required to constitute lobbying. As our witnesses told us, and as the unfolding HUD scandal clearly demonstrates, the most effective lobbyists may be the one who can exercise influence in a single telephone call. And what those people are referred to are closers. They're people that are lobbyists, but they actually don't qualify as lobbyists under our current law because they limit how many hours they actually lobby. So I just want to thank you for scheduling this item and highlight all of the importance in you speaking up on this issue. And I hope you continue on these efforts, because your council member and all of them need to hear this demand for change. Thank you.
Thank you. KT, your hand is up.
I'd just like to clarify a point that was touched on. In order for a not-for-profit to continue to be a not-for-profit, they cannot devote more than 6% of their budget to lobbying. So that's just a clarification, in case anybody was wondering. And then also, just because somebody works for a not-for-profit does not mean that that person is a lobbyist, unless that's, of course, their job description. Thank you.
Disagree.
Thank you. Okay. Carol, did we have somebody make the motion on this item?
I don't have anything down, so no.
Okay. Do I have somebody to make the motion?
This is Nina and I will.
Nina made the motion. Lala, is that a second?
Sure.
Okay. Carol, if we call for the vote, please.
Okay. Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Lala Rowe,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes, Lenny Freeman,
Yes.
Katie Travers,
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt,
Yes.
Claire Gordon
is left.
Hello, Claire?
Claire stepped out.
Okay, thank you. John Van Gunten.
Yes.
Thank you. Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Smith,
Yes.
Mike Goglia,
Yes.
Hugh, Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Absolutely, yes.
Cindy Claycorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
and Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Thank you. $19, there you go.
Thank you. Motion passes. I'd like to adjourn the special meeting and thank you to Jamie and Rob, especially Jamie, for bringing this to our attention. We know you're working really hard to get transparency and we appreciate it.
Okay, so adjourn at 8:56.
Adjourn at 8:56 and then we can reopen the previous general board meeting.
All right, just a moment.
Those were two like real-time factor issues, so I'm trying to get everybody done and out. I apologize the meeting is taking so long.
All right, there you go.
Okay. I know we didn't finish with all the elected officials. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. You know, usually we do that first thing, but we need to get to some of these items. I'm going to let's go down. Carol, could you scroll the screen more?
To
I can't see the other items. Okay.
What are you
I'd
looking
like
for?
to go ahead. Yeah, if I don't have any objections, I would like to move to. Can you scroll down more? Okay, to item 9B. So, we do have a letter. We sent it out to the board members. There's actually 2 letters. So, it's Carol or Cindy, if one of you could put the letter up.
Cindy, do you have the letter? I didn't load it. I'm sorry.
Didn't come back.
Yes, she is. Cindy, your hand's raised, but you're muted. Do you have the letter?
I can't unmute her because I don't have controls.
Yes, I'm gonna get it for you. Hold on a second. Sorry.
Okay, I'll stop share.
And there was a second letter that Karen Moran had submitted. Just letting you know there's 2 versions.
Okay.
And Carol, I'm going to ask that you don't call me first, that you move me to last.
All right.
For the vote, if there's a motion.
Great.
Thank you. And are you having trouble finding it?
No, I've got it. Sorry.
That's okay.
I apologize.
I was just going to see if I could help you.
Stand by. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'll be putting it up right now. Okay. There you go.
Okay, to the Los Angeles Board of Police Commissioners, Sunland Tonga Neighborhood Council represents one of your city's most well-formed, informed, involved, and police-friendly communities. Years of SLOs and captains tell us that ST's low crime rates are owed to interaction of residents and LAPD and community policing. Ignoring our community support of law enforcement and ignoring our own charter to investigate charges of LAPD misconduct for credibility, your board sweeps under the rug dozens of written requests, public statements, and rallies, effectively ignoring intelligent input from the stakeholders of the served communities. You misrepresent the personally motivated and invidious transfers of SLO, Cesar Contreras, and Captain Johnny Smith as day-to-day or disciplinary transfers when there is plausible evidence there may be of retaliatory action as part of a political cover-up. Factual issues the board must investigate include earlier allegations of councilperson malfeasance, then LAPD cronyism, self-protection that the transfers effected by Chief Moore hope to marginalize. We demand BOPC, Board of Police Commissioners, to follow the City of Los Angeles mandates and thoroughly investigate all circumstances that preceded these clearly retaliatory transfers. Evidence indicates Chief Moore bowed to pressure by Councilperson Monica Rodriguez, then worked to deny Contreras and Smith their procedural rights. Specifically, the chief, can you scroll up a little, knew of and discounted Contreras' sworn statement documenting Rodriguez's obstruction of justice during the narcotics warrant, bowed to Rodriguez's demands to transfer Contreras for whistleblowing, knowingly accepted then acted upon false and admittedly biased testimony against Smith, thereby retaliated against and sought to discredit Smith's earlier whistleblower lawsuit against the city, and purposely pushed through Smith's unduly harsh punishments without due process or through fact-finding, all for his being honest. Do I have a motion to approve this letter as written?
I make that motion.
Lenny makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I will second too.
John second in the motion. Okay, are there any comments from the board? If so, please raise your hand.
Well, this is Carol. Now, are we going to vote on both letters or just sending one? I mean,
Well, if somebody would like to hear the second letter, then we need to make a motion to well, there's a couple ways we could do this. One, we can ask to, wow, I just went blank. I'm so sorry. We can make an amendment to the letter and submit the second letter, or we can look at this letter and then we can bring up the second letter and the board can decide which one to vote for. I'm not the best way to do that. Cindy, do you have a suggestion?
Well, I would like to see the other letter. I mean, if we only need to see one, I would like to see both, and then the board can choose between the two.
Yes.
This is Karen. It's just the first letter with some editing. That's all it is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. So then Karen, would you like to make a submission as an amendment to the letter with the
Yes, I
second
would like to
letter?
do that.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Do I have a second for that?
This is Carol. I'll second.
Okay, so Cindy, can you put the second letter up?
Well, that's a good question.
It was sent, I sent it to you earlier today.
Okay, I have it.
Okay.
Stand by. Sorry.
That's okay. Do you have the letter, Cindy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna posted up now. Sorry,
No, that's okay.
I apologize for the delay. Okay, can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
You want to read it?
You might want to put it into the mode where you can't see the changes so it doesn't look so confusing.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
it's kind of nice actually to see.
the
Basically,
changes.
you just cleaned up the letter and took out a lot of.
That's all.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Sunlantunga Neighborhood Council represents one of the Los Angeles most well-informed, involved, and police-friendly communities. Years of SLOs and captains tell us Sunlantunga's low crime rates are the result of the interaction of the residents and LAPD and community policing. Ignoring our community's support of law enforcement and ignoring your own charter to investigate charges of LAPD misconduct for credibility, your board has chosen to ignore written requests, public statements, and rallies, effectively ignoring well thought out input from stakeholders of the served communities. It is obvious to many in our community that your office has misrepresented the rationale for transferring SLO, Cesar Contreras, and Captain Johnny Smith as being day-to-day or disciplinary transfers when there is significant evidence that transfers are a retaliatory action against our community that is political to the core. The factual issues the board must investigate include earlier allegations of councilperson malfeasance, followed by LAPD cronyism and self-protection that the transfers affected by Chief Moore intend to marginalize. We demand Board of Police commissioners follow the City of Los Angeles mandates and thoroughly investigate all circumstances that preceded what clearly appears to be retaliatory transfers. Evidence indicates Chief Moore bowed to pressure by Councilperson Monica Rodriguez and then worked to deny Contreras and Smith their procedural rights. Specifically, the chief knew of and discounted Contreras' sworn statement documenting Monica Rodriguez's obstruction of justice during a narcotics warrant, acquiesced to Rodriguez's demands to transfer Contreras for whistleblowing, knowingly accepted then acted upon false and admittedly biased testimony against Smith, retaliated against and sought to discredit Smith's earlier whistleblower lawsuit against the city, and intentionally pushed through Smith's unduly harsh punishment without due process or thorough fact finding. Do I have a motion to accept this amendment?
Well, this is Carol. I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second for this amendment?
I second. This is Lala.
Thank you, Lala. So it's Carol and Lala. Okay. So are there any board comments on this version of the letter? This amendment. So this would be a motion to amend the letter to this wording. Do I have any board members want to make a comment? If so, please raise your hand. Mark, go ahead.
With all due respect for Chief Moore, because I do think he does an incredible job with all the different aspects of our city and limits in what the city has what they've given him to work with. I do like this version of the letter better than the first one. And the only difference, the only change I would make, if I did make a change, was where you use the word cronyism. And I don't think that's, I don't particularly like that wording, but other than that, and you don't have to change it, but I'm just saying that I like this version better in what it's saying. And
Okay,
with all due respect to the chief.
Thank you. I just want to make a comment. I'm sure that the officers that are here and the chief and deputy chief and the captains, this is not personal. This is not like we don't like any of them or we think they're doing a bad job. This is directed at the actions that we are trying to help get addressed. Cheryl, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had more to say earlier, but I don't want to dominate so much time. But I mean, I agree. Yeah, we need to be concerned about moving forward for public safety and issues at hand. But I mean, we do need to look backwards too, because if there is corruption going on, I mean, it has to be acknowledged. It has to be rooted out. It has to be dealt with, or else it's just going to keep going and repeat itself. So, but I am in agreement with that. We need to move forward as well, of course. But I did want to point out one thing in case people weren't aware of it was Captain Smith was with Captain Zine when Chief Hamilton told him that it was Monica's request to Chief Moore to move Contreras. So there are other witnesses as well. So Captain Zine and Hamilton. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other board member hands. Are there any comments from the attendees? If so, please raise your hand. And I know some of our board ended up in the audience. I don't know how that happened, but Arnie Abramian, go ahead, please.
Hi, good evening, board. I just want to bring to the board's attention that all of you are elected individuals that got elected, and if not, you were voted in by the board. And the community trusts that you put out factual information. Now, I do understand that you may take a lawsuit's allegation as factual, which in reality it is not. However, sending a letter such as this, our goal moving forward is help work with the LAPD. I, as a business owner and a stakeholder in the community, would love to work with the LAPD, city and state, and federal representatives of our community to better our community, make it safer, make it more reliable, responsible, and just a better place to raise my family and do business. Now, when you guys as elected are spreading words like this, I have one question for you. What would you do if after all the investigation you're requesting, the individuals you're, I would say protecting or asking to protect or bring back are found guilty? Nobody gets demoted 2 stripes just for the fun of it or someone wanting them to. There has to be factual evidence, or else Captain Smith would have a multi-million-dollar retirement just for that. Now, I ask you as a stakeholder to hold yourselves accountable and not attack myself and other individuals in the community or elected individuals, because you may be wrong. And the truth shall set you free, as the Bible says. So you cannot attack individuals just because.
From the coffee shop.
Correct. This is Arnie Abramian, a major stakeholder in Sunland Tujunga. Thank you.
Arnie. Okay, and a phone call ending in 896. Can you please unmute yourself?
Hi, this is Georgia, and I just want to say, Lydia, this is personal. You have posted on Facebook since the day this happened that Moore buckled to Monica Rodriguez. You have said on social media that Monica Rodriguez was behind this. And I just want to let LAPD know that just because the STNC approves a letter, that those 17 people or whoever votes yes on it does not represent us as a community. So please, in your letters, stop saying us as a community. The 17 of you or 21 of you do not make up this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments from community members? Okay.
Oh, Chief Moore has his hand raised.
Chief Moore, go ahead, please. Oh, you're mute. You're not muted. We hear you. Go ahead.
There you go.
By the way, can you activate my screen, or is that echo Chief Hamilton's remarks? So
I'm
preference would
sorry.
be-
I don't have the power to do that.
Okay,
Carol
that's
or
fine.
Cindy, can
Just so
you
that-
do that?
As long as
To
the
do
audience
what?
knows.
His
like to
screen
see
is
me-
activated.
It
His
is.
screen is activated. Yes.
Oh, Chief Moore, the problem is this is the way the department wants us to do our meetings. It makes it
No
very
worries.
uncomfortable. I'm sorry.
No, it's just, I just want to make sure, Zoom etiquette, I want to make sure people understand that from my side and Chief Hamilton and from the department side, we expect ourselves to be, and when we're participating, that we demonstrate our video just as a courtesy to everyone. So I understand and respect your guidelines that apparently the neighborhood council or otherwise place in place. But let me be clear on this point. I welcome an investigation by the Board of Police Commissioners if they choose to direct the Office of Inspector General into my actions. This is a directed allegations against me personally and as an individual, and I accept the rights and your position doing that. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the characterizations, and I do find them troublesome. However, I also understand that you don't have information and the base of knowledge that I have, and I'm prevented by telling you that. So you feel that this is you come to this conclusion, so be it. I'll be more than happy, as I said earlier tonight, to stand by my actions, and I welcome any investigative authority to explore this and understand the facts and circumstances behind it. And I have every confidence that that my actions will be well within my authority and not representative of the allegations that are here. And I welcome, again, somebody such as the Office of Inspector General investigating this. So I welcome your letter. With that said, to every member of this council, whether you're elected or you're a member of this community, there will be not an iota of difference to your interests and needs and the safety of your community. This department is a professional department, and one that I expect and I fully understand will not be distracted by these allegations involving me. I'm not the first chief to have a community or group of communities or individuals within a community believe that the chief has gone off on the rails. That's not going to interfere. I will ensure that there is not a right and a left on this, or Hatfields and the McCoys regarding the ins or the outs. We are not a political organization, and allegations against the chief of police will not allow us to be, and I'll not allow us to be a political organization or politicized by any group or segment of this community. So again, thank you for this opportunity to make my remarks, and that'll be it.
Okay, thank you so much. So, board members, again, anybody have a comment? We can go straight, I saw a hand go up, or we can go straight to the vote. Karen Moran, go ahead.
Yeah, just in view of the comments tonight with Chief Moore, I think that the letter could be and should be toned down even more. You know, for example, where it says specifically the chief, well, you know, you could say minimally that it appears that the chief, if we go forward with it, and I'm not sure we should go forward with it.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so let's, that was the last comment. We'll go ahead and call for the vote. Carol, we are voting on this version of the letter. This is the amended letter.
Okay, and you want me to call you last?
You can call me first, I don't care.
Okay, Lydia Grant.
I'm abstaining.
All right. Lola Rowe?
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon?
I don't think I have enough information, so I'm not going to vote.
Abstain. Ed Bob Kanian?
No.
Carol Hutchinson is yes. Lenny Freeman? Did we lose Lenny? Or is he muted? I can't see him.
I do not.
Okay, hey, what? I'm here.
All right, Lenny Freeman, your vote?
Yes.
Okay, Katie Travers?
No.
Trevor Schmidt?
Yes.
Okay, is Claire Gordon back? I can't see her. No? Okay, John Van Gunten?
We do need this investigation. Yes.
Karen Moran?
Yes.
Karen?
Yes.
Thank you. Belinda Woodruff?
Yes.
Cheryl Smith?
Yes.
Mike Goglia?
Abstain.
Abstain. Shirley Kim? Is Shirley here?
Abstain.
Abstain. Chris Rowe?
No, not as written.
I'm sorry, what?
No, not the way it's written.
No, okay, thank you. Nina Royal?
I have a conflict of interest. I'm abstaining.
Cindy Claycorn?
Abstain.
Okay.
Jesus.
Jerry McCoy?
Abstain.
And Mark Siegel?
Even though I'm not totally comfortable with all the wording. I think, as John said, that we need to have an investigation happen. And so I'm going to vote yes, even though I do
right,
strongly support Chief Moore.
There's 9 yes, 3 no, 7 abstain, and 1 absent. All right, thank you.
Okay. Mark, you're the expert at this. Does this motion pass?
What was the vote?
Carol, please repeat
I
it.
told you. 9 yes, 3 no, 7 abstain, and 1 absent.
How many are seated? How many board members do we have present voting?
We have, let's see, everybody but Claire, I believe, is here.
Shirley,
9 plus 7 plus 3, 19.
Thank you.
Let's see here. Yes, it passes.
Somebody?
No, it doesn't.
It passes because of the new rules, the rules in our bylaws are that abstentions don't count towards the total of the votes. Because you can have it either way. When we created the bylaws, we were able to select one way or the other. That bylaw, that abstentions were included as no votes, or that abstentions were not included in the vote at all. And we put in our bylaws that abstentions were not included in the vote. So this does pass according to our bylaws.
thank you, Mark.
Sure.
Okay, so Carol, could you put the agenda back up?
Thank you, I will.
Okay, and we don't need to vote on the original version since the amended version passed. Well, actually, we should do another vote. So we need to do a vote on the actual motion with the amended letter. We voted on the amendment. Now we have to vote on the letter to go out. Do I have a motion?
Well, that really doesn't make sense.
That was it. That was
Okay,
what the
that's
amendment.
fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of neighbor council meetings. They all do it different. So
Karen has her hand raised.
Karen,
Lydia.
go ahead, please.
My comment is that I think that, I don't know if this will fly or not, but maybe we could have another vote because I probably some abstains assumed that their vote would be counted as a no.
Why?
If they didn't know how the rules had, how the bylaws had changed.
Well, to abstain means to walk away from. That's, I mean, I don't see any justification for that interpretation.
Okay. Okay, let's go ahead and move. Can we move the agenda back up?
Is
Let me looking to see who's still here. PT Trevor. Okay, so
Raul is
Mary's
here.
not here. Raul is here. Raul, did you have any comments for us?
let me get him.
Okay.
Yes, hello, good evening, everyone. I will
you,
send my my announcements via email, and so just seeing how the poll process plays out so far, everything seemed well in this last case. And then just to let you know, so, I would like to be able to have a meeting soon with the elections chair, elections committee. Our department, you saw the whole presentation today from City Clerk. Our department is focusing on the outreach portion of the elections. So we'll be doing candidate filing informational sessions. We want to do NC 101 presentations in the community within your neighborhood council, and we need your help for that. And so I hope to be able to set up a meeting soon with your elections team.
Thank you very much. Our outreach will be doing our elections.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on. Report from the Land Use Committee. Is Patty here, Cindy, or are you doing the presentation?
I'll help you with this. Item A, Patty has requested that item be removed.
Okay.
It's passed now. And item B and C are the only two items to cover. So you want to take up item B?
Sure.
Carol,
Discussion
do you
motion.
have, I'm sorry, Carol, do you have the letter that you can share from the packet?
Packet on page, do you know about what page? I'll have to scroll. Anyway, I'll put it, I'll stop and I'll bring it back up.
Oh, Mary McAdam is here. Let's let Mary speak real quick. I'm sorry, Mary, I missed you when I was scrolling around. Mary, go ahead while Carol puts this up. Mary McAdam. Mary.
She has her hand raised. I'm not sure. Let's see.
Maybe she stepped away.
Hold on, let me help you out here. There you go.
Mary, can you hear us? Okay, we'll go ahead and go on to the letter. We'll come back to Mary.
Okay, it just came up. Sorry, it was
Oh.
still showing me. It wouldn't. You hadn't given me the option to unmute. That was why. Okay, first I want to thank. This is Mary McAdam from the Office of Councilman Monica Rodriguez. Want to thank Chief Moore for hanging on to this call this late. I want to thank. I can't tell if they are on, but Deputy Chief Hamilton, Captain Lozana, and Senior Lead Officer Officer Figueroa for maintaining this call this late. That's incredibly respectful and showing your dedication to the community. Thank you.
Oh, we're all still on, and thank you.
Pardon me?
We are all still on, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. I'll be very brief to be respectful, but for updates within our office, like Cindy mentioned earlier, we met about the banners on Monday, and we'll go forward identifying the light poles that the STNC would like to use, and we're going back and forth with our vendor. Additionally, we're happy that we get to provide Apperson Elementary a donation of the tools in collaboration with the Office of Community Beautification for their, can you hear me? It's cutting in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. For their beautification project on the 19th. Additionally, we have a tree lighting on Sunland Park, December 9th. Also, as Lydia mentioned earlier, we do have a new field deputy for Sunland, Shadow Hills, and Latuna, Ricardo Flores. I'll allow him to introduce himself, but context, I'll go back to just overseeing Tahunga, and Ricardo will take the rest. Ricardo, please introduce yourself.
Cindy, has Ricardo got his microphone so he can speak?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect, thank you. I echo Mary's comment, Chief Moore. Thank you for staying here so late. These meetings do take long, but first of all, I'd like to introduce myself, Ricardo Flores. I'm actually the new area representative to the Councilwoman's office. I do cover Sunland, Latuna Canyon, and Shadow Hills for the Councilwoman. I'm actually gonna be, I'm still doing my meet and greets and kind of introducing myself to the community, but I'm looking forward to working with you guys and in terms of the Sunland community. Quick introduction.
Okay, we look forward to working with you.
Thank you, thank you.
Are there any board member questions to the council office? If so, raise your hand.
This is Cindy.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Hi, this is Cindy Cleghorn. I just wanted to find out if you have any updates with regards to the streetlights that are out. I don't know if you know, but it's expanded down onto the other side of Commerce Avenue. I think this is maybe the third or fourth meeting that I've brought it up. And it's also on Foothill Boulevard. And this is detrimental to the public safety around here. And I'd really, really like to see our lights back on, and also our historic lights that we put in a lot of effort to get here. And That's the main thing, is the lights, is if there's a definite date. And the only other thing is, like I said, last meeting, please extend a invitation to the councilwoman to attend one of our meetings. As you know, she's never been to our neighborhood council, and it would be really great if she could come. We are all part of the city family, and it'd be great to have her come, even with a short, limited visit. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Yes, we have extended the invitation to the councilman, and we will keep you updated there if she's able to attend. Regarding the streetlights, I'm not able to give you a definite date as we are going off of the Bureau of Street Lighting's availability, and they're handling, as you guys are very aware, the high rates of copper wire theft across all of Los Angeles. I will give you an update as soon as it's available. There have been repairs recently in Sunland Tujunga, as mentioned last time, off Wentworth Street, as well as some other areas. Commerce and Foothill are upon our top priority of repairs. Thank you.
Thank you. Cheryl has a hand raised. Go ahead, Cheryl.
Hi, Mary. Did you say there's a tree lighting at the Sunland Park this year?
Yes, it is
Okay, what is the date?
December 9th at 6 p.m. And I've sent out the flyer to Lydia and Cindy, but I can share it again.
Okay, thank you. And then the Apperson event is, did you say that beautification committee?
Not, sorry if I misspoke, just the beautification project they're doing at Apperson Elementary on November 19th. And I would reach out to Evelyn Serrano if you have any questions, because ST Ford is also working with them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mary? I don't see any hand raised. Thank you, Ricardo and Mary. We really appreciate you attending the meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Carol, let me move this off my screen so I can see. Can we go on to okay, we have a letter up now. Los Angeles City Planning Department, address is 8055 Foothill Boulevard. Support a project, convert existing first floor from offices, change of use to urgent care, add a new second floor addition, 209.5 square feet within the building footprint to an existing second floor office. The Sunland Tujunga Neighborhood Council, STNC Land Use Committee, met with the owner's representative, Richard Dorian and Peter Patpadian at the October 3rd, 2022 Land Use Committee meeting. The bottom level of the building is currently retail office use. Request change of conditional use for urgent care medical facility on the bottom floor, with the second floor to stay offices to rent as needed. Discussion was made on entrance to the building. First floor will remain same, plus the outsides of the second floor offices. Parking per city requirement will have 5 for the medical space and 3 for the office, with 5 bike racks. Handicap spaces will be in appropriate places. Trash bins will be moved and enclosed by the trees for aesthetic purpose. Land use asked them to take the appropriate step to get any and all signage approved by the city, asking them to pay close attention to the design guidelines in the Foothill Boulevard Corridor Specific Plan. Upon the recommendation of the STNC's Land Use Committee, Sunland Tujunga Neighborhood Council at its November 9th meeting voted to, do I have a motion to support this item?
This is Carol. I'll make the motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
This is Belinda. I'll second it.
Thank you, Belinda. Okay, I see 2 hands up. KT, go ahead.
Yes, I'd like to know if the language add a new second floor addition within the building footprint, is that meant to state that there will be no change whatsoever to the existing roof line?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so then the roof line as it exists will not be lifted at all. It will just be that front part of the building, which was open from floor to ceiling and didn't have a second floor in it, that front part will now be subdivided. And there will be no additional construction on the outside at all.
Correct. There'll be no height increase.
Okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Ed, go ahead, please.
Just an op-ed message to the owner operator. I don't know if anybody's on the call here, but I definitely support additional urgent care centers. They're far less expensive in terms of delivery care versus the ER at any of our local hospitals. But I want to caution the owner or operator, please do not open up another testing center for COVID-19. COVID-19 testing costs have single-handedly driven up the cost of health insurance. You'll all see it, those of you who pay for it in 2023, several percentage points, simply because of the mandate from the federal government that health insurance covers COVID-19 testing for whatever reason. We've seen a number of these centers open up in our community, and I just don't want to see another one for the sake of being a COVID testing center. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments? I don't have my hand raised, but I do have just an interesting thought, and that is, why would we put 5 bike racks in for an urgent care? How many of you ride bikes to the urgent care or to the hospital for treatment? Just asking that question. Anyway, don't expect an answer. Any other comments? What?
It's a city requirement.
Of course. Okay, do we have any comments from the community members? If so, please raise your hand. Anybody who is here attending the meeting, please raise your hand and I'm happy to call on you. I do not see any hands raised. Okay, board, can we please go for the vote, Carol?
Okay. Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Lola Rowe,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes, Lenny Freeman,
Yes.
Kathy Travers,
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt,
Yes.
Claire Gordon still absent, John Van Gunten,
Yes.
Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Smith,
Yes.
Mike Gotlia,
Yes.
Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Yes.
Cindy Cleghorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
Mark Siegel.
Abstain.
Um, $18 yes, one
Thank you.
abstain and one absent. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion passes. Carol, could you put the next item up?
Okay, that's not here. I'll have to.
Okay, can we go back to the agenda?
Yes,
Let's do that.
just one moment.
Then we can maybe do some of the consent calendars and get them done.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so let's.
Oh, I'm sorry, the high-speed rail. I didn't remember that's what it is. Do you want me to bring that up?
I can bring it up for you.
Okay, Cindy,
Okay.
go ahead.
There you go.
Okay,
Lydia?
Okay, got it. November 7th, 2022. Opposition in response to the draft EIR EIS high-speed rail 6 build alternative routes Palmdale to Burbank. At a regularly held public meeting on November 9th, 2022, the Board of Directors of the Sunland-Tonga Neighborhood Council voted to provide the following comments below. This is a draft of the letter, and scroll up a little bit, please. The Sunland-Tonga Neighborhood Council, STNC, stands in opposition of all the 6 build alternative routes that will tunnel through the Angeles National Forest as outlined in the California High-Speed Rail Draft Environmental Impact Report. The comment period ends on December 1st, 2022 at 5 p.m. Our STNC Land Use Committee has the following concerns. 1, deep boring tunneling through the Angeles National Forest will have a devastating effect on our wildlife, groundwater aquifers, and surface springs. Water, the most precious of our resources, will be dewatered during the deep tunnel boring along all 6 alternate routes. The California High-Speed Rail Draft EIR outlines the water sources along the proposed tunneling routes that run along the direct path of tunneling. These routes are the refined SR14, SR14A. Both have 13 streams and tributaries. E1, E1A, E2, and E2A each have 37 draft streams and tributaries. Also outlined in the DEIR is the Rapidian Service Authority surface water features and surface hydrology and water quality, refined scenic route 14, SR 14 build alternative, 47 surface water features, SR 14A build alternative, 60 surface water features, E1 build alternative, 38 surface water features, E1A build alternative, 23 surface water features, E2 build alternative, 29 surface water features, E2A build alternatives, 25 surface water features. Our STNC Land Use Committee have the following requests. Number one, California is currently experiencing a mega drought due to climate change. How does HSR authority propose to eliminate any risk that would impact our most vital resource, water? Two, the Angeles National Forest and the Tunga Wash area are extremely ecologically sensitive areas. We not only fear the water issue, but also the impact on all wildlife, fauna, and flora that may be negatively affected by drilling tunnels through it. And how does the California High-Speed Rail Authority propose to mitigate the above issues? We are looking forward to your earliest response. Sincerely, Lydia Grant, President, Sunland Tunga Neighbor Council. Do I have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Thank you,
I
Casey. Do have a
second.
Carol seconds it. Thank you. Do I have?
I didn't know. Who seconded that?
That was Lala.
I'm sorry, Lala. It was KT
And-
made the motion and Lala seconded it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And do I have any comments from board members? If so, please raise your hand.
My hand is up.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yes, I attended a meeting of the high-speed rail a long time ago. And a group had done a video and gathered a lot of information about the high-speed rail. And they talked about the devastating effects of the high-speed rail going through the mountain. They talked about the tons of equipment that will have to be used over the mountain, and that all the earth that'll have to be moved. They also talked about, oh yeah, it'll go through the tunnel and they won't even notice it. They have to build roads and access roads and wiring and tunnels all through the mountains to access the tunnel for the high-speed rail. They talk about the carbon footprint for this high-speed rail is going to take nearly 100 years to offset. I mean, I don't even know if this thing will even be built in 100 years. But even then, probably in 100 years, it's going to be outdated. And I think this is this whole high-speed rail thing is a terrible idea. They've gone about it all wrong. There's been a lot of cronyism of moving rail lines to suit political donors, whatever. And it's just really, we need to oppose this. This is just a terrible thing that they're trying to do to our mountains. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark Siegel, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. And I understand what she was saying, and she makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, there's no way for us to stop it anymore. They're being funded now by the carbon credits in California, and they basically have a bottomless piggy bank because of that. Very frustrating because there's no way to throttle this. My big concern, and I don't see it in this letter, is, and I think we need to add it, is we need a paragraph with my concerns about it transverses at least 2 earthquake faults. One through the Shadow Hills area, the Tahunga fault area, and one the San Andreas fault on the other side of the mountains over towards Palmdale. And they have absolutely no plans or no contingencies for what happens during an earthquake. When I did ask during one of the charrettes, they had said, oh yeah, they can climb up through one of the tunnels, like the 1,500 feet up to the top, into where the forest is, that there's an access, there'll be access points. And if people are in wheelchairs or they're my age, I'm not going to be able to climb a ladder 1,500 feet without falling on the 18 people below me. And I'm very concerned. And if they're trapped in there, how are they going to be saved? They've not addressed this whatsoever. And we need to add a paragraph in relation to that. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. So Mark, are you making a motion to add an amendment to include the issues with the earthquake faults?
If that's the required way to do that, yes, I would like to do that. Make that motion to amend and add a paragraph for earthquakes.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
This is Carol. I'll second it.
Thank you, Carol.
May
Okay,
I make a suggestion? This is Nina, that you
Go
make that item number 3 under the questions.
sure. I don't think that's
regarding-
a problem. So Cindy, if we make it, add that paragraph under item number 3 in the list.
Okay.
Okay,
No,
do I have
alright.
do I have any other comments from board members?
I do. It's Nina.
Go ahead.
I owe the community an apology. And I published an article in the very beginning. I went to several of the meetings for the high-speed rail, but unfortunately, they did not tell the truth. They did not tell us that they were going to have to do double lines. They did not tell us they were going to do eminent domain. They did not tell us that they were going to go through the Angeles Forest. So I totally support this letter, and I apologize to the community because I did not know and didn't know to ask those questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any other comments from board members? KT, go ahead.
Just one impact that this would have on wildlife. Any mammals the size of a dog or smaller, their young are murdered by 80 decibels. 80 decibels is the sound of a when you're near the backfire of a car or the muffler on a motorcycle that is has been amped up. You can imagine the noise levels that are going to be achieved in doing this, not even counting the explosions to move Earth. It's just nonstop murder. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark, you made the amendment. Should we including sound and vibration in the part about the wildlife?
I unfortunately know nothing about that, so I can't address that.
Kathleen, would you like to add that? Do you want to add that to the amendment?
I'll add that and get it to Cindy by tomorrow. Is that okay?
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a second for KT's addition to include the vibration and sound?
I
in
will. This
regards
is
to
Nina.
animals? Thank you. Thank you, Nina. So let's go ahead. Do I have any comments from the public? Any of the attendees at our meeting have a comment on this item? Raise your hand if you do. I do not see any hands raised. Okay, Carol, can we please call for the vote on the amendment?
Okay, Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Lala Rowe,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes, Lenny Freeman,
Yes.
KT Travers,
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt,
Yes.
Claire Gordon still absent on John Van Gunten,
Yes.
Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, Cheryl Smith,
Yes.
Mike Gotia,
Yes.
Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Yes.
Cindy Claycorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
and Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. We need to vote on this item, the letter as amended. Carol, if you want to call it.
Okay, so we're voting on what now?
The letter as amended.
The letter as amended. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. All right, Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Lala Rowe,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson, yes, Lenny Freeman. Lenny Freeman,
Yes.
thank you. KT Travers,
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt,
Yes.
Claire Gordon. Up again, John Van Gunten,
Yes.
thank you. Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Schmidt,
Yes.
Mike Golia,
Yes.
Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Yes.
Cindy Cleghorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
Mark Siegel.
Yes.
All right, that's unanimous.
Thank you guys very much. Okay, and Carol, can we put the screen back up?
Thank you. Just a moment.
Sure. You're getting a workout today. I think we're done with letters though. This should make it easier. Okay. So let's move down to consent calendar items for funding. Scroll up, please. Ed, did you want me to read these or did you want to do them?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, item number 8, consent calendar items for funding. No consent calendar items are considered to be non-controversial, will be treated as one agenda item. Any board member or stakeholder may request that an item be removed. There will be no discussion of these items unless an item is removed from the consent calendar, in which case it'll go to the end of new business and be considered as time allows. Motion, the STNC approves the funding consent calendar. Item A, discussion action approved September 2022 monthly expenditure reports, MERs and balances as recommended by the Budget and Finance Committee. Item B, discussion and action approve October 2022 monthly expenditure report, MER. Discussion action approval of up to $300 to promote and provide light snacks, water, health, and safety fair. D, discussion action approval of $500 for volunteer appreciation and refreshments during quarterly tree care events. That's to push it so that we have it for each time it comes up. E, discussion and action approval for up to $300 for stat committee t-shirts with high visibility colors. F, discussion action approval up to $200 for refreshments during coffee and tea with STNC events. That also is for ongoing events. And G, discussion update possible action acknowledgement for fiscal responsibility admonition notice related to July and August MER submissions, having late BAC attachments as recommended by the Budget and Finance Committee. Do I have a motion to approve of the consent calendar?
I make a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Mark, seconding it. Okay, and do we have any raised hands from the board? Any comments on these items? Ed, go ahead.
No comment on the item, just quickly. I know we're looking at this as a single agenda item, but when we do the BACs, I'll need a separate BAC for each of the MERs. That's the only way the city will accept them.
Thank you. You got it. Okay. Any hands raised from the public? Anybody has any comments on these items? Okay, since these are consent, let's go ahead and vote. Carol, please call for the vote.
Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Lala Rowe,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson, yes. Lenny Freeman,
Yes.
KT Travers,
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt,
Yes.
Kay Claire still absent, John not eligible, Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Schmidt,
Yes.
Mike Goslia,
Yes.
Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Yes.
Cindy Cleghorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
and Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Motion passes.
all right.
Okay. Scroll up, consent calendar items, non-funding. Again, any board member stakeholder can request the removal. Item A, discussion action motion to not hold the December 14th, 2022 STNC board meeting as recommended by the executive committee. That is if we want to hold the December meeting or not. B, discussion possible action approval letter regarding removal of Captain Johnny Smith. We already took care of that item. Item C, discussion possible action approve September 2022 board and special meeting minutes. Item D, discussion possible action approve October 2022 board and special meeting minutes. Item E, discussion possible action to approve outreach event at Aurora Banquet, November 19th, 2022. That is piggybacking on the town hall. I'd like to pull that item separate because let me just, because we can't discuss it. I believe the date has been changed on that. So if we could pull out item E out of the number 9 consents.
That's
we-
correct.
Do we
Thank
need
you.
to pull out item B as well, Lydia, since we already kind of
Sure.
passed
Yeah,
that?
so remove remove items B and E, please. Okay, so now we have items A, C, and D. Do I have a motion to approve the number 9 consent calendar items?
This is
I move-
Carol. I'll make that motion.
Okay,
I
Carol made
second.
the motion, Malala seconded. Do I have any hands raised? Any from the board members? Anything else? Don't see any hands. Okay. Nothing from the community. Don't see any hands. Okay, let's go ahead and call for the vote, Carol.
Okay, Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Lola Rowe,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes, Lenny Freeman,
Yes.
Katie Travers,
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt,
Yes.
okay, John Van Gunten,
Yes.
Karen Moran,
Yes.
Linda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Smith,
Yes.
Mike Goglia,
Yes.
Shirley Kim,
Yes.
Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Yes.
Cindy Claycorn,
Yes.
Sherry McCoy,
Yes.
Mark Siegel.
Yes.
Okay, that's unanimous, 19, with 1 absent.
Thank you very much. So we voted, I want to clarify, we voted not to hold a December meeting. Is everybody okay with that? You just voted, I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we get a break. And we'll have 2 meetings in January because we'll have a retreat also. Unless anything urgent comes up, and then we'll let you know for a special meeting.
If something urgent comes up, we could try and hold a special meeting in
Exactly.
December if necessary. But that only
Exactly,
needs a quorum.
right. So I do see, before we go back to one of the items that we missed, which was committee updates, I'd like to give Kevin Davis the floor. Kevin, thank you so much for joining our meeting. I have seen you there, just didn't have an opportunity to let you speak. Kevin Davis is one of our budget advocates, and he obviously has come here to give us an update. Kevin, did you want to go ahead and speak? And Cindy, can you unmute him?
Yes, he can talk. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, board members. My apologies. I'm actually writing my workout right now, so I'm out up on top of Hanson Dam. So if there's any noise in the background, that's what's going on. I would normally defer to Cindy because she's my fellow budget advocate in the Northeast Valley, but I will go ahead and speak on both of our behalves. The budget advocates are currently in the process of meeting with the various departments, and we are doing gathering information to get ready for our annual white paper. With what's going on with CD6 and the special election, there's going to definitely be an added interest in how that impacts other budget issues. Just a reminder, the budget advocates, there's 2 in the Northeast Valley, Cindy and myself. There's actually a 3rd seat open if anybody's interested. If you're not willing to make that jump into deep water yet, you can always come and come to one of our meetings. We meet the first Monday at 7 p.m. and we meet the 3rd Saturday at 9:30 a.m. So you want to see what we're up to or what's going on, or get a better insight on the budget, you're welcome to come. We actually did have somebody come from the CEO's office at one of our earlier meetings that got recorded, who gave an overview on the city budget, kind of explained the difference between general and special funds and a variety of other things. So he did 2 2-hour sessions. If you're interested in kind of getting a layman's overview of the city budget, I encourage you to go ahead and look at that video. It'll help you understand how the city budget works. The Budget Advocate webpage is budgetadvocates.org. Again, I'm the president of Foothill Trails, so you need any information for me, welcome to reach out to me or reach out to Cindy. Be glad to talk to you. That's all I got.
Thank you so much, Kevin. Any questions for Kevin before we let him go? If so, raise your hand. Okay, Kevin, I think you're off the hook. Oh, wait, Mark has a question. Go ahead, Mark.
Drive safe, Kevin.
Okay, yes, I'm dodging cars as we speak, but I hope to get home soon. Wish you guys all a good night.
Thank you so much, Kevin. We appreciate you coming. Okay, so moving back to the agenda.
Okay, just a moment.
And do I have any committee reports? If you have a committee report, would you raise your hand, please? So we know you have something to say. KT, go ahead, please.
Very briefly, just wanted to thank the board members who showed up at Stark's Meet the Artist events. You can see these, we're posting them on YouTube, so you can see them there. But thank you very much for coming by and supporting those. That's it.
Thank you. And KT, I had asked Cindy if we could add them to the STNC website. So Cindy, go ahead. I know your hand's raised now. Go ahead.
Oh, that'd be great. I just need the link. So that's great. Those presentations are outstanding. The Land Use Committee is not going to be meeting on the 21st. It's the week of Thanksgiving. Instead, we'll be meeting on the first Monday of December. And there'll be two presentations. One is the Corner Market, which is at Mount Gleason and Summit Rose there at the corner. That's for a CUB, a beverage license. So if you have an interest in that, please join us. The other will be regarding Haynes Canyon and Foothill, the corner there that used to be, some people say the Bean Pot, Arigato, Jack in the Box years ago. That's what I remember. Anyway, that property has an application coming in. So you'll want to hear about the plans for that. And there was one more thing I was going to tell you, but I think that's good for now. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Cindy, if you think of it, just let me know. Ed, go ahead.
Thanks. Just a quick update on budget and finance. So we also will be moving our meeting that's the week of Thanksgiving. And I'll get that update out to the team here. Also, just a quick update. Question keeps coming up around the carryover from last year. We got yet another update this morning that the controller is still reviewing the reports from last year. We've decided to go forward and reforecast our budget, assuming the carryover will be included. And the direction that we received was go ahead and do that. But if we make a decision later on that carryover is less than what you approve, you'll have to go back and get a board amendment to adjust the budget. But we're going to go ahead and assume that it's almost 10,000. The carryover from last year is like 9,900 and some change. So we're going to assume that that's going to be available, and most of that will be directed toward elections.
Thank you. And thank you for getting it so close. I appreciate it. And what I mean by that is we can only roll over 10,000. So that was pretty close to that number.
Yep.
Otherwise, anything over that we would lose. So Ed did a great job. Lala, was that your hand that was up?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes. So I just wanted to let you know.
We can't hear Lala.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we did have to change the date for our health and safety fair. It is now going to be January 21st. So that's one of the items that we still have left to vote on tonight. And that was logistics and red tape and my not learning fast enough. So we have it figured out now. So it's going to be everything fine on January 21st, which is the Saturday morning, 10 to 1. And the other thing is that we voted to hold a historical land use town hall. Now, Lydia, you were very interested in doing this or working with us on this, and the committee wants to do that town hall possibly in January, although we're going to have a number of meetings in January. So that's the report.
Thank you so much. Any other committees that want to give a report? If so, raise your hand. Don't want to miss anybody. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised. I think did we skip anything? Carol, can you scroll down a little bit? Public comments. Do we have any comments from the community members on any topic that's not on our agenda this evening? If so, please raise your hand. We'd be happy to hear from you. I do not see
Don't
any
see
hands
anything,
raised.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we'll move on to final announcements from board members. I just
Don't we
want to
have,
make
Lydia, I'm sorry, don't we have the date change for that item 9E that we need to vote on? For the event?
we can't vote on it. We can't vote on it because that's not what's on the agenda.
You're gonna amend the motion to change the date, that's all.
Okay, we can do that. So
You
let's go to
forgot me,
item
Lydia.
9.
My hand was raised.
Yeah, but
Let's finish what we're doing right now. So, yeah, we can do that. So let's go to item 9E, discussion of possible action to approve the outreach event at the Aurora Banquet Hall in January. And what was the date, Lala?
21st.
21st. We've had to postpone it. So do I have a maker of the motion?
Is that November 21st?
January.
January 21st, thank you. Okay, I'll make the motion to amend the date to January 21st, 2023.
Thank you, Carol. Nina, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I did. We have a community police advisory board meeting tomorrow night, and we will be meeting in person.
Nina, we're in the middle of a motion. Hold on a second.
Before you did that, I had my hand raised during public comment.
We're not at board announcements yet. We're almost there.
Wasn't a board announcement.
So
Okay, thanks.
So who, is there someone that makes a second?
So is
I'll
there a
second it.
second for the motion? Okay,
I'll second it.
thank you. It was Shauna.
Yes.
Thank you, Shauna.
Okay, do we have any board member comments on the item? Please raise your hand. Lala, did you need to speak to it?
Sure. So what basically happened, there was a question about insurance. And then there was the actual logistics of what it takes to get a event formed through the lines. So my recommendation to anybody who does any kind of event in the future, the first day you set the date, put the form in then, because otherwise it gets you in a position where you can't get the form through. So anyway, that's basically what happened. The insurance was the situation of the banquet hall has insurance, but he doesn't have insurance in the parking lot. So we're going to hold the event inside the banquet hall. And he is fine with that. And there's plenty of room for everything we want to do. So that way we're covered on the insurance, and the form has time to go through. And most all of the people that have said they wanted to be part of this have confirmed that they're available for January 21st as well.
Thank you. Do we have a second on the motion, Carol? Yes, Shauna. I think it was Shauna.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
just wanted to make sure. So do we have any comments from the public on this item? If so, please raise your hand. I do not see any hands raised. So we will go ahead and go. I just want to make one comment, and that is, this is the event that Lala was putting together. It is piggybacking off of the town hall that we just had, where they are going to, at this event, give people the ability to use whatever drug they're using, Narcan, to counteract anybody who is using. Go ahead, Lala. Go. You say it better than I
Okay. Yes. So we are going to have 3 nonprofits that are there that will be doing the training in Narcan. Narcan is the
antidote.
It is the antidote that's very easy to administer, but you have to get a training in it. It's usually very expensive, but we're able to get it very cheaply. So the nonprofits will be able to give it out for as much as they have available. So we will get that. And excuse me, we're also going to be having a wide range of other health and safety groups, you know, as well as some LAPD, the fire department, CERT, etc., that are going to be participating. So yes.
And Lala, wasn't the Narcan is an antidote for several overdoses, but it's specifically they were training us for the fentanyl, right?
Right. Because yeah, because what it does is it knocks the fentanyl off of the receptors in the brain and just basically wakes them up.
So thank you for clarifying. And so we will have that available at this health fair, which is
Yes.
great for the members of the community to be able to have that and to be able to help anybody who's having an OD. Nina, I know you wanted to, and of course, LAPD is invited. I know several of you are still here and we appreciate it. We'd like to have you participate with us. Nina, did you want to go ahead and make your comment for final announcements and board announcements?
Wait, we need a vote on the item.
We need to vote.
No, we're just gonna go on. No, I'm kidding. Okay, let's go ahead and call for the vote. I'm sorry.
Okay, so no public comments. Okay. All right, Lydia Grant,
Yes.
Lala Rowe,
Yes.
Shauna Scanlon,
Yes.
Ed Babakanian,
Yes.
Carol Hutchinson is yes, Lenny Freeman. Did we lose Lenny? Katie Travers,
Yes.
Trevor Schmidt. We lose Trevor. Okay. Claire,
No, they're here, but they're,
well, John Van Gunten.
Yes.
Thank you. Karen Moran,
Yes.
Belinda Woodruff,
Yes.
Cheryl Smith,
Yes.
Mike Goshlia. Maybe I lost Mike too. Shirley Kim,
I think you lost Shirley.
okay. Chris Rowe,
Yes.
Nina Royal,
Yes.
Cindy Claycorn,
Yes, yes.
Sharon McCoy,
Yes.
Mark Siegel.
Yes.
You can
Okay.
call for Lenny again. His,
This is Lenny. I vote yes. Had a
Okay.
muting problem.
All right. How about Trevor?
Trevor's here.
Trevor want to vote? Okay, anyway, 16 yes and 3 absent.
Thank you. Motion passes.
4 absent.
Okay. Final announcements and board announcements. Nina, I know you wanted to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sometimes it seems like I raise my hand and it's not seen or something. I don't know. But anyway, tomorrow evening is the meeting for this Foothill Division Community Police Advisory Board. And we are looking for new members from our community. If you're interested or think you might be, you have an opportunity to meet the new captain tomorrow night. He will be there. And I will be co-chairing tomorrow night along with him. And you can email me or call me or PM me, whatever, if you want to have more information. It'll be at the Japanese Gardens and it starts at 6 o'clock. And it's on Branford and Laurel Canyon. So I hope you all would be interested in finding out more about it, even if you don't want to be a member. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board comments?
I have
just-
one.
This is Cindy. Oh, but take others first.
I don't see any other hands raised. Oh, Lala, go ahead.
Lala and Mark.
Okay, go ahead, Lala.
Yes, I just wanted to announce that we have some openings on the Education Committee. We would like to have 2 non-board members, stakeholders from the community added to our committee. So that's those 2 that are new also. And additionally, Cheryl Schmidt is going to go over and do exclusively the outreach committee. So we're going to need a board member to replace her. So that's 3 possible positions, and anybody who is interested can let me know or attend one of our meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Looking for hands. Cindy, go ahead. Oh, Mark, I can't see. I'm blind. I cannot see who's raising hands.
I do have
Cindy,
a raised
oh,
hand. I'd be glad to talk.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to express my heartfelt thanks to the chief, the assistant chiefs, and the captains and the other officers that have stayed for the entire length of our meeting. This is amazing. Most everybody would have dropped out by now, and it's wonderful to see how dedicated you guys are. And thank you so very much for spending your time here. I don't know how to express it more, but I hope you understand how I feel, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
And Lydia, that's exactly where I was gonna go, and thank
I
you,
was
Mark.
too, so.
But I want to say one more thing. You know, I see a lot of people through my store every day, and I think there are a lot of people who feel their voices aren't heard. So thank you for being here and hearing us, and I do look forward to that opportunity where we can meet and get together so you can get to know us and hear our from us as well. So appreciation all around, and best wishes for the holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the board? Okay. And yes, I wanted to echo what Cindy and Mark had said. We are extremely grateful that you have attended our meeting tonight, that you have kind of sat in and seen a snapshot of some of the work that we do. I also wanted to thank, I see that, I think they've left, but I also, no, she's still here. Mary McAdam, I also wanted to thank her. She stayed till the very bitter end. We try not to go this late, but unfortunately, sometimes that happens. I do see that Mary's hand is raised. Mary, did you want to say something?
Just echoing what all said. Thank you, Chief Moore Hamilton, or Chief Moore, Deputy Chief Hamilton, as well as all of the other officers, Captain Lonzono and Officer Figueroa, for staying on this late. I can't express gratitude enough. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think another one.
Thank you for having us.
We look forward to working together. Absolutely. Okay, I see there's one more hand. Who is it? Oh, Chief Moore. Go ahead, please.
Just at the risk of extending this meeting, thank you all for your work. The leadership and participation is what makes the community stronger. And tonight was it was a long meeting, but it was interesting to see the various areas that you get into and influence. And just, I want to encourage your heart to keep at it. It's what makes Los Angeles great. All the best.
Thank you so much. So good night, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful holiday if we don't see you before then. And again, you know, this is a great community and it's great because of the people in it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meeting adjourned at 10:18.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night,
Good
everybody.
night. Night.